difficulty or technical issue there, but we'll go ahead and call this meeting, work session and regular meeting of the Summers County Board of Education to session. It is July 28th, 2026, 2:05 p.m. This time, I'm going to ask Mrs. Harvey, if she would, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have item 3, approval of the agenda with adjustments.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Nothing in the bills?
No, I don't see anything.
You feel good about it, sir?
I do.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented by the superintendent.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the agenda has been approved as presented. All right, we will now go into the work session part of our meeting. The very first item we have is discussion or possible action to approve 26-27 board meeting schedule. You have the schedule in front of you. Go ahead, Dr. Knott.
I was just gonna say, we have this, it's just when they would normally be. Denise has marked the holidays, put on there the statutory meetings, and that last meeting in June is bumped from what it normally would be to the end, because that's what we've been doing, so we can get
Okay.
those bills paid the last possible moment.
Did we at one time make concessions for those bills to be paid? I mean, I don't mind having one the last part of June, but it seems like at
We've done it
one of
both
the,
ways.
yeah, at one point we authorized the CSBO to make payments on bills to close out things. I mean, I'm okay with the June 29th meeting. I'm just so you know, that's something we've done in the
If you
past.
want to move it back, I think it was the 22nd.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but just for future, if we need to change one, we can do that so that the bills can be paid.
And I think that there's also like a statement that we do put on, because like last day I will have some budget journal entries that I'll have to make. So I will have to bring some journal entries to you the first meeting in July.
Okay.
We also wanted to talk about the location. We, as, speaking for the board here, I mean, the directors, traveling to all the different places as often as we did for no more benefit than it was. We were just wondering if we didn't do that again. So that's up for discussion. That's why it's on the agenda.
I think what our president's idea was to make it as easy as possible, and I do appreciate the attempt, but I do agree that unfortunately it was quite ineffective, so I could go either way, whatever.
We could still have the LSIC,
Mhm.
each LSIC, there would be, I mean, of course, that one at each school. Once we move back to the other office, there is the big boardroom.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it is an area, location is centrally located.
Right.
Yeah, behind that idea had been that we had really hoped that teachers and the community would be more involved with the meetings, but over the time it was just us at the meetings.
And when we originally talked about this, it was something we wanted to try. to get more community involvement. I agree that I think that we haven't seen what we hope to see as far as involvement. I would still like to try to maybe once a semester go to a school, and that might be their LSIC when we do that. We could minimize we wouldn't have to do it every month, but once a
If you did it once a
semester,
that,
go to one school, yeah.
that would be like two meetings
Mhm.
in a school year.
Yeah.
Is LSIC still optional if it's not a low performing school?
Correct. We're gonna have LSIC training later. It's an 11-minute training video that's required annually, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. But it is only for the schools that are, whatever they're calling them now. They were priority or
Mhm.
comprehensive school support schools. And we were doing it because it gave us a chance, when we started it, I think, to go to each school and have them like show off their school kind of thing.
Well, it was also a part of, I think it was a part of the LSIC rules or whatever, that the board had to meet with the LSIC once a year.
I think it's
They're low
only
performing. Yeah,
low
right,
performing
yeah,
schools.
yes, the official LSICs.
I personally like the LSIC meetings, where we are able to look at the areas where they've improved. Like the attendance, the discipline. That's what LSIC is. Right, right. I mean, I like to be, right there to be able to look at it, but I like even whether it's low performing or not.
So my thoughts are, let's try once a semester to go to a school. And then if the agenda has an item on it pertaining to a specific school that might require, or not necessarily require, but benefit a trip to that school, then we could hold that particular board meeting at the said school if need be. I think we could, once we set the schedule, we can adjust it as needed. So we could do the same with location. We could set a standard location and then adjust it based on the needs of the agenda and the business that we have to take care of.
The LSIC meetings can be taken in so many different ways. I wouldn't want any of our schools to think we are requiring an LSIC meeting so that we can come and see what you're doing wrong and what you're gonna do about it. I don't want it like that at all. But if they're doing something positive, having good results, and they would like to share them with us, then by all means, we need to allow that to happen, however it works.
Yeah. I always viewed it as a nice way for each school to showcase their school.
And we do generally, at least for LSIC meetings at the schools, we get a little more student participation. So if they are going to showcase a student or some activity the students have done at school, it might be beneficial for that meeting to go. But again, we could adjust that based on the agenda of the meeting and the wishes of the school whenever they're presenting.
Are we saying that?
I don't think we have to have anything set in stone. If a school has something that they would like to present, they don't have to be here and they want to be at their school. I don't have any problem with going there. I don't know that we have to have this is what we want to do.
Mhm.
Just kind of let it flow. It's my opinion.
If we say it's just they're at wherever they're at, I mean, the board office or whatever. And then when we have our administrators meeting, we can share with them that if they would like to show off something,
Right.
they can, as long as we have a little bit of lead time to get the message out. That's where it's.
And what we can do is set these meeting dates. We can set the location of the board office, and then we can adjust by a majority of the board as needed. And I say that because it'll just be easier as far as the policy goes. For board meeting policy, you can put the date, the dates in there as well as the location of the central or the board office. And then we can adjust in a vote at a meeting. If that's all right with everyone.
I think back to the LSIC where that young man sort of, I think he's the one that sort of kickstarted the pilot program at Jumping Branch
No.
when he didn't want to leave. You know, I just sort of feel like that's sort of like what did that little kickstart right there. You never know what can bloom out of an LSIC.
All right, holiday weeks, do we want to change those dates so that we're not having a meeting during a break for you all?
Yes.
What date would you all like to
That's a
have?
motion.
I'll second.
Let's look at some dates for November, the second meeting in November and the second meeting in December. What works for the central office?
I would say let me throw out, I would suggest the 19th of November, which is a Thursday. That way gives our CSBO time to get bills in before the end of the month and then catch up.
I'm never opposed if it's gonna crowd the calendar to only have one meeting somewhere in the middle of that month. If we can get by with it.
Yeah, that's fine too.
There's one on November 10th, and the next one, the first one in December is December 8th. That's the question for bill payers.
So throwing this out there, is there any way we could do, and this is like really kind of making it a little crazy, but could we do, November 10th? And then do a December 3rd, December 17th, and then pick up in January?
Mhm. So
We're
we're gonna
easy.
keep November 10th?
Keep November 10th,
Okay,
and then only have that one meeting in November,
okay.
and then pick up December 3rd, December 17th. And then get back on track in January.
January 12th.
Yes.
Okay. Works for me. Everybody else okay with that?
December 17th.
3rd and the 17th in
Yeah.
December. All right, so we have the board meeting, 26, 27 board meeting dates now set.
And what about does any of the spring meetings fall in spring break?
She would.
Break is March 29th.
No, we're good. Yeah. So do I have a motion to accept the 26, 27 board meeting dates?
I'll make a motion that we accept the 26, 27 board meeting dates with the aforementioned changes.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley to accept the 26, 27 board meeting dates with the aforementioned changes. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the 26, 27 board meeting dates with the aforementioned changes has been approved. All right, next we have discussion of possible action regarding the levy call approval. Did get an email with that. I don't know if you all had a chance to review it. It is in your folder as well. Trash can.
Good. Thanks, good.
I'm good. So this is the same as what we ran in the spring. It just, the dates have been changed.
That is correct. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if you all got a color copy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what has happened in this levy call is, the only thing that has changed are the dates that have changed. And then in the actual levy call in the middle, the red amounts those amounts have changed, and then some of the wording has changed. And that's based on some of the feedback that we've received. So of course, the dates have changed, they've been moved to, the next 4 years. November 3rd, which is election day. So based on what our proposed levy rates are, the amount did go up to $1,141,835. So over a 4-year period, it would be approximately $4.5 million that would be collected. So in line item C, the one thing that we did here, we did speak with 2 people that had said that they would be willing to head a levy committee. And whenever we talked to them, the one thing that we did hear and the feedback that we had received before was that all 3 elementary schools needed to be included about the playgrounds. So we had included Jumping Branch in it. And one of the other comments that we had heard was that, why do you need a playground? So the wording that did get included was, but not limited to equipment, fencing, and ground surfacing. Just to better explain, you know, I think sometimes people think playground and they just think a big piece of equipment. So it can be the fencing that they need because like Jumping Branch pre-K needs fencing to separate the 2 up there. Hinton area needs fencing around theirs. The ground surface with, if we change from pea gravel to grass, sorry, I just started talking.
You're fine.
Okay, sorry. I just started rolling. It was just verbiage. It just kept rolling. Sorry. Safe school entrance. There's that one. I did increase that amount right there. On the SRO, I think that Dr. Knott had worked with the sheriff's department. They were submitting for an SRO, but we're still keeping this one in here. One of the comments that was made at Jumping Branch was to include that it's not just the salary, but it is the salary and all the fixed costs that go with it. So we wanted to make sure that that's in there. So people don't think, oh, well, they're making $65,000 a year, because it's not just $65,000 a year, but it is all the fixed costs that go with. You know, we have to pay for the retirement, Social Security, insurance, and it's only,
taxes.
yeah, did I not put that in there? Well, the Social Security, workers' comp. We would have to pay for.
You have fixed costs such as, so that
They were
fixed
trying to
cost.
clear it
Yeah.
up because
Yeah.
people thought,
Yes,
you know, they don't
I'm
get paid
required
that
for-
much, so.
all required for employment, yes. And for a 9-month contract too. So the other 3 months would be at Unity County. Would be providing that. Yes. We did have this extra amount, so we put that into the facility. Something I was thinking about whenever I was reviewing this morning, facility improvements. I don't know if we want to add some verbiage in there that just says, you know, such as facility improvement or just preventative maintenance. I don't know that, or, I mean, I don't know that we want to, maybe we do want to put that in there, but the extra money that we had, I just put it into facilities. We can always change that if we want to put it into personnel. We can, anywhere we want to put that. We just need direction on where to put that. Also, transportation and maintenance, we had talked about this before. Something else we also need to talk about is last time I saw, Mr. Boone up here, the vehicle that he drives around, the bottom of his vehicle is also starting to rust. I think in the rocker panels, so I don't know if that's something we just need to fix, if it's something that we need to look at. If we want to change this and look at, you know, if this were to pass. I just think that we really need to be looking at stuff to be proactive.
Yeah.
Because maybe 2 vehicles is not where we need to be. Something I know that, anyways, but that's for 2 vehicles there at that level. So those are the things that were changed there. Other than that, it's just dates. I did send this to the state, to get verification, but I've used the, spreadsheet that they had sent last time, plugged in the new numbers, and this is what we had received, or this is the number that we got. So, those are the changes that have been placed in here.
As far as the vehicles goes, $40,000 over a 4-year period. I think, yeah, 160 grand, I think. That should, I don't think you can put too much money in the facilities budget myself. And I like what you did with the money, so.
Well, and based on what I looked at last year or in the spring with the state contract, depending on what the vehicle, the trucks, I think we are probably looking at probably about $60,000 to $70,000 on a state contract. So that's probably gonna get us the 2 vehicles that we need. And then if we even could sell a vehicle or bid the vehicles or auction the vehicles out, and even part a vehicle out if we need to, we can do what we need to do with the other ones. And maybe even if we're trying to put a bid out for 2 trucks, we could maybe even get them in a little bit lower. So I think we would have some negotiation abilities.
On the resource officer, do you have a ballpark of what the actual salary part of that $65,000 is? Just ballpark.
You're probably,
70% of it, right?
you're probably looking at, I don't know, 45 or 50.
On F, it wouldn't hurt to add preventative maintenance. The more, I think, more details like that
They change facilities improvements to preventative maintenance or?
Included.
included.
Included
Uh-huh.
additional, yeah.
Do you all agree?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Preventive maintenance is what cost you this building beside of us, the lack thereof.
And this has to be submitted by,
The last I heard was August 10th.
okay.
Which is right before the next board meeting.
Correct.
So
Yeah, we
this,
can approve this with the aforementioned changes, can we?
this puts it, I know we talked about last time we ran was approximately a 20%. So what would the increases, with the increases added in, where does that put us?
So
That
this,
percentage is the same.
Still be
Just
20.
yeah, so
your
this is
taxes
still
are
a
going up.
20%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is still a 20% levy call. There's,
Okay,
so, and that was just based on what the increase was from the assessor.
okay, I'm with you now.
And those have been changed in there.
So the only thing, yeah, the 20%, the only thing that it changed was, the 1.1 instead of the 990, I think it was.
Well, make a motion that we approve the levy call order with the aforementioned changes.
One second.
A motion by Mrs. Hartley, seconded by Mrs. Farley to approve the levy call order with the aforementioned changes. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Minutes reflect by 5-0 vote, the levy call order has been approved with the aforementioned changes. Discussion or possible action regarding building use fee structure.
So our goal was to have a fee structure outline ready for you. But, when I happened to be the Bowles Rice training and I was, for HR, and I happened to ask a question related to facilities. And the attorney basically told us that, for-profit organizations, we can't allow, our facilities to use the for-profit. So I think, and he sent us several, this is just the text of his email. He sent us several pieces of case law, and superintendent's interpretations. It's quite a thick document, and I've given that to Dr. Knott. And so I think before we, really kind of just bring you all like what we think would be a fair, like, building use fee, I think we need to make sure that we really understand what the parameters are for that. And so as a central office, we'll look at that and come back to you all at another work session with some ideas. But the general idea of it is, though, that if we're going to continue leasing our facilities, if we keep this facility and the other ones, if we're gonna continue to do that, then we're gonna need to start charging a fee to use those to help deal with the upkeep and the maintenance on that. So that's just the idea behind it. And then, like I said, we are gonna have more of a concrete idea for you, but then Mr. Briefly kind of threw this in our lap, and I'd rather come back to you after we as a team have had a chance to flesh it out.
What's a ballpark number on overtime for a custodian? Just ballpark.
Probably about $25. Well, $25 an hour and then another 18% for fixed costs on top of that.
I know for an absolute fact, Raleigh County has been doing that for years at a very minimum, whatever it would cost to clean that building. Once you're, whatever you've just done,
Right.
you have to pay that. So that's definitely somewhere to start. You want to recoup what's going to cost you, obviously.
And I think, for a long time, we've really tried to be, provide a service to the community. Hold on, Karen. And that, so we tried not to do that, but we're getting to a point where we're gonna have to.
So would like to have read over this a little more closer, but I'm just gonna kind of go skim through. So if I'm misinterpreting any of this, let me know.
Okay.
So for fee, is not legal. Is that correct? So if someone wants to, so several years ago, there was a wrestling event held upstairs. That is a for fee, so that would not be permissible.
Correct.
Okay.
For a fee or for free. You can't let them.
Even for free.
You can't let them in.
Okay, so it has to be related to,
Well, they can't be for profit.
okay,
They're for profit.
for profit, but if they were doing it for free, even though they're a for-profit organization, that would be not permissible.
And I think that's kind of the thing that we as a team need to sit down and look at.
Okay.
All the stuff that Mr. Briefby gave us.
And then the other thing is if we're charging, so I know there's the form that has to be completed in order to use a facility, which indicates that, and also the copy of the insurance policy. So they would still be providing that. They would still have to carry their own insurance policy if we charge a fee for usage. Okay.
We really need to look at it because it cuts down on who can even use it.
Mm-hmm.
The groups that have come in during the summer that do like build porches for houses and roofs and
Election service.
now, have they used the gym before? But they're nonprofit,
They have, but they are a nonprofit.
Yeah, they're on
And
the
they're-
other side of profits.
so they're good to
They're
go.
at profit
Right.
right now.
Oh, right. Okay. They carry an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll wait for you to come back with something else on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on this one?
Oh, really? A donation?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah.
All right, so we'll take no action on C, discussion of possible action regarding building use fee structure. And we'll jump down to D for our LSIC training.
All right, this is on and the training is on the WEPA's website. And it'll also be provided to the principals. And then there's some documentation that people have had the training that needs to be submitted.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Barney, and I'm a coordinator at the West Virginia Department of Education.
Very tough, great.
Policy 23, that's changed regarding LSIC. For policy 2322, this rule requires training of County Board of Education members in the development and operation of LSICs in West Virginia public schools. The purpose of this training is to inform principals, county boards, and others deemed appropriate of the roles and governance of LSICs. LSICs help develop and promote the schools and county's vision, encourage involvement from all stakeholders, and represent the voice of the community. Voting membership of the LSIC consists of the principal, 3 teachers who are elected by the faculty senate of the school, 2 service personnel who are elected by other service personnel at that school, 1 who may be a bus operator who transports students enrolled at the school. Other voting members are 3 parents, guardians, or custodians that have a student enrolled at that school and can be elected by other parents, guardians, or custodians in a manner determined by the principal. Parents may not be employed at that school in any capacity. The 3 at-large members are appointed by the principal. At least 1 must reside in the school's attendance area and 1 whom represents business or industry. The at-large members are not eligible for membership under any of the elected classes of members. For CTE schools and comprehensive middle and high schools, 4 additional members are appointed by the principal or CTE director. For students in grade 7 or higher, the student body president can be a member or another student in grade 7 or higher elected by the student body in those grades. Parents, guardians, or custodians, teachers, and service personnel each serve a term of 2 years. All other members serve a 1-year term. Elections for parents, guardians, or custodians, as well as teachers, shall be arranged so that no more than 2 are elected each year. Elections for service personnel shall be arranged so that no more than 1 is elected each year. Reasons for replacing a council member include resignation, absence from 3 consecutive meetings, changes in personal circumstances, or death. Filling a vacancy depends on whether the position is elected or appointed. For an elected position, the chair of the council will appoint a qualified individual to serve the remaining term. In the case of a vacancy for an appointed council member, the principal will appoint a replacement as soon as possible. After the election of council members, and no later than October 1st, the principal shall convene an organizational meeting of the LSIC. At this meeting, the LSIC elects from its membership a chair and 2 members to assist the chair in setting agendas for each meeting. The chair shall serve a 1-year term. If the chair's position becomes vacant for any reason, the principal shall call a meeting to elect another qualified person to serve the unexpired term. Once elected, the chair is responsible for notifying each member in writing 5 business days in advance of any LSIC meeting. The principal shall not serve as the LSIC chair. General operational procedures involve the county superintendent monitoring principals to ensure all LSIC meetings occur as outlined in Policy 2322. All meetings must be open and announced to the public in compliance with the provisions of the Open Governmental Proceedings Act. LSICs shall ensure that minutes are taken at every meeting and made available to the public on the school's website and upon written request made to the school's principal or council chair. Each LSIC may adopt a set of bylaws that are consistent with state and local policy and West Virginia code. The West Virginia Department of Education provides resources and technical support to help conduct effective LSIC meetings. The council is required to hold specific meetings. The election meeting and the organizational meeting are necessary for establishing the LSIC. Additionally, the council meets every 9 weeks for equivalent grading period. Both the stakeholder meeting and the county board meeting with the LSIC of low-performing schools qualify as required meetings within the 9-week time frame. Resources to assist with all meetings are available on the West Virginia Department of Education website. Principals must organize the election of members to the LSIC before September 15th. A meeting notice shall be given at least 1 week in advance. During this meeting, parents, guardians, or custodians of students enrolled at that school will be nominated and elected by their peers. Parents, guardians, or custodians elected to the LSIC cannot be employed at that school in any capacity. The organizational meeting will be held after the election of council members and must take place no later than October 1st of each year. The principal is responsible for notifying each member through written or electronic means at least 5 days in advance of the meeting. An agenda will be provided to all members prior to the meeting. During the organizational meeting, the council will elect a chairperson from its membership, along with 2 additional members to assist the chair in setting the agenda and taking minutes for each meeting. Additionally, the principal will ensure that all members complete the LSIC training, show members where to locate the LSIC resources, and provide each member with policy 2322 and the relevant West Virginia code. The LSIC will hold at least 1 stakeholder meeting each year, announcing it at least 10 business days in advance. The purpose of this meeting is to facilitate a positive and interactive dialogue among all stakeholders regarding the school's academic performance. We recommend scheduling this meeting in October utilizing the West Virginia Balanced Scorecard data. During the meeting, stakeholders will have the opportunity to provide specific suggestions on addressing issues that may impact the school's academic performance. These issues include parent and community involvement, the learning environment, student engagement, attendance, behavior, support for at-risk students, curricular offerings, resources, and the capacity for school improvement. The LSIC will ensure that a report detailing concerns, suggestions, and points raised during the meeting is produced and made available on both the school and county websites. This report should also be submitted to the Office of Accountability at the West Virginia Department of Education, preferably before the start of the next school year. Resources to assist with the completion of this report can be found on the West Virginia Department of Education website. County Board of Education members are required to meet at least once a year with the LSIC of each school identified as low performing under the West Virginia Accountability System. This applies specifically to comprehensive support and improvement schools. The principal and the LSIC chair should be prepared to discuss topics that the county board requests outlined in the meeting agenda. This meeting also provides an opportunity for the county board to offer suggestions for addressing issues that may impact the school's academic performance. Following each school year, the County Board of Education members must report the details of their meeting with the LSICs to the West Virginia Department of Education, with a deadline for submission no later than September 1st. Other LSIC activities include proposing alternatives and promoting innovation. The council can request a waiver of rules and policies of county and state boards. The LSIC can also receive School of Excellence and competitive grant awards. County superintendents are responsible for ensuring that principals and members of the County Board of Education complete the required training. Principals must ensure that all members of the LSIC also complete this training. Once all trainings have been completed, the superintendent will verify completion for the entire county on WEBIS. Therefore, principals must inform the superintendent when all LSIC members have completed their training. Guidance on how to verify the training can be found on the West Virginia Department of Education website. You can visit the West Virginia Department of Education website for LSIC resources and guidance.
That's how it's structured.
For additional information, questions, or concerns, feel free to contact me by phone or email.
What did we?
I appreciate your participation in this training and wish you all a successful and safe school year. Thank you.
Same.
We completed our training.
Yeah, it's going, we're halfway done.
Dr. Knott, does that fall on you to see to it that these guidelines are followed? Just
when I
one more
looked at-
thing on your list.
I looked at the training because there was something I was supposed to turn in at the end of last year. And I was saying, oh my gosh, I never even heard of that before.
And I'm curious, does anybody know how long, what we just watched, how long has that particular set of rules?
Oh, we
Been
can
in
look at the
effect.
policy and get the date, but I think it's been a while.
Mhm. I don't think it's changed.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how it worked several years back. They needed an LSIC president. A letter was sent home with the students for parents to read about what LSIC was and send back a recommendation of who they would like to see as president. Names were collected. Another letter goes out with the students and to elect one of these three people that had their name given the most. And then this person receives a phone call, congratulations, you're the LSIC president. And I happen to have a kid that was one of them that don't bring stuff home and let you know about it. So, yeah,
You?
yeah. So that's how that happened. But the funny part is, all 3 years of junior high, and then we had a teacher that was very present in those meetings in the middle school at that time, that then was principal when I went to the high school, so I got 4 more years of it there. So that 1 year or 2 year thing. Anyway,
And so if you're not a designated LSIC school,
Low performing school.
right,
All schools have LSIC.
Okay.
Times a year.
okay,
The board's involvement comes in specifically if they're low performing.
Gotcha. okay. I'm connected, I'm good.
This county has always done once they go to one, I mean, for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's required if they're.
And I noticed on the training too, it said that the minutes from the meetings had to be placed on the school website.
Like I said, the principals are getting trained.
what is that?
And it could be, I mean, yeah, like that training might not have ever been given to this point, you know?
Yeah, we had to take, cause I remember we took this training last year. We all had to watch the video last year.
Okay.
So I'm sure the training's been given.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I
that's
mean,
the-
like, as far as, I gotcha.
Cause we had to report that we watched it last year, so.
Since you hardly have anything to do, I just feel like that is a whole lot to make sure it gets done properly.
It was eye-opening the detail, but when I was a principal, I knew about it, you know, kind of lost track of it as a director.
Right.
because I didn't have any involvement.
All right, well, as Ms. Farley announced, the board has now completed their LSIC training, so you can mark that off on your list. Item E, the Hope Scholarship.
I got some numbers I want to talk to you guys about.
All right,
So right now, just kind of jumping back to what our enrollment is first. As of right now, there's currently 977 students that are enrolled in Summers County. That number could change based on pre-K enrollment and stuff like that as we get it closer. I do know we're getting ready to enroll. There's 3 kids that brought me some stuff that I'm getting ready to get enrolled. But as of right now, we stand at 977.
Are all the pre-K re-enrollments in there?
Not
Or
all.
not, are they?
About 75% are in there.
Okay.
So Hinton area right now has 224, which is 22.9% of our enrollment.
Say that one more time, sorry.
224 students, which is 22.9% of our enrollment. Jumping Branch has 106 at 10.8%. Talcott has 126 at 12.9%.
What was that? Sorry.
Talcott, 126 at 12.9%. And then the high school has 521 at 53.3%. For your general education population, 681 students, 51.5% of what I'm going to go over, which is going to include Hope Scholarship, homeschool, and all that stuff. So 681 is general education, 51.5%. Your special education population, 296 at 22.4%. And out of those numbers, you're looking at the regular enrollment, which I said is 977. That's 73.9% of student aged population in Summers County. So the rest of that percent is going to be Hope Scholarship or homeschool. So your Hope Scholarship, as of last week, I haven't looked at it today, 176 students, which is 13.3% of school aged populations in Summers County. 176, 13.3% of school aged kids in the county. Traditional homeschool, which is not in the Hope Scholarship program, is sitting at 169, which is 12.8% of our school age population. So roughly 26.1% of your school age population is not in a public school in Summers County.
What was that number for traditional homeschool?
Traditional homeschool, 169, 12.8%.
Okay. So 176 and 169 added together is the number that are school age children in our county that are not in Summers County schools.
Correct.
But that doesn't count for students in the county that are transferring out to other county public ed, right?
Right. I don't have that
I don't have
number
that number.
handy. I
Okay.
don't even think I have a report for that. But
We have a clue how that compares to surrounding counties?
we were number 3.
And Hope Scholarship.
Hope Scholarship,
number 4
number
out of the
4.
state, 55 county.
I don't have a number for homeschool, but
That percentage wise,
Yeah.
right? Not number wise.
Percentage.
I mean, that's the downside to having a small school population. Our percentage looks like, wow, there's a bunch of them. There's really not that many when you compare us to a bigger county.
And I'm gonna mention that later when we go over our determinations as well, which is
Mhm.
on down the list. That percentage can really affect us. One kid can make up
Yeah,
huge
right,
percentage.
right.
That's all I have for the Hope Scholarship portion. You guys have any questions?
So I do have a question, semi-related to the Hope Scholarship. I know I was unable to make it to the meeting we had at the high school with our virtual program. So how did that go? Did we have anyone who came who was not already either in Summers County schools, maybe homeschool or Hope Scholarship that was looking to see what we were offering?
The answer is yes.
Okay,
We had about 15 families between the virtual and the in-person option.
mhm,
There were, and it was a mixture of what we currently have and those that either have moved into the district and are looking at options or those that, are interested. I asked Ms. Hawkins for an update. We currently have 17 students that are registered for, or that have applied for virtual.
mhm.
And then we have 9 all dead that will also go on that as well, but, so that's kind of where we are at the moment. And we're now just kind of getting started with the subject campaign, and that goes through August 10th.
Okay. And so when we had the virtual session at school, did we talk synchronous and asynchronous, or was it just geared toward asynchronous?
We mentioned that there was a synchronous option, but
Okay.
the purpose for that meeting was to discuss subject.
Subject, okay.
And, so that's what we discussed pretty extensively.
Will there be another session for synchronous? So I think no.
Probably
Okay.
not, and I'm gonna tell you why, because every time when we would talk to people about our virtual program,
Mhm.
and we would explain that it is a synchronous program, that they go straight to his office.
Mhm.
And so right now, at this point, I don't, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to put our time and energies into the synchronous option. We've had that for several years. People know we've had that. They know what proximity is at this point. The thing we need to do at this point is to work on our asynchronous option.
And I don't disagree with you, but I think we also need to make it as parent or not a parent, but advertised that we do have that synchronous option. Because, like we've talked about in some of our meetings before, some of our students, and I'll use my kids, for example, I have 50% of my kids that do very well in an asynchronous option, and I have 50% of my 4 kids, and I'm using big percentages and I've only, but 50% that would not do well in asynchronous. So I understand we're starting something new with subject, but I just want to make sure we are advertising a synchronous option as well, because we don't want to exclude someone who then goes to your office and says, I'm not doing this because I need a teacher in front of my student. So that's my only thing. Just make sure we are giving them the full picture of what we're going to offer. So that was all I had. Go ahead with. If
Well, I
there's
was saying
anything else.
after the start of the school year, when kids are back, maybe we can give an update to see
Yes, I have an update.
how many of those maybe we got back
Mhm.
because of our virtual.
They extended the window for Hope Scholarship as well. It was supposed to end on June 15th. I think, I don't know if I typed it in here or not. They extended the window to the beginning of August. I want to say it was August 3rd, maybe.
Mhm.
They're having some glitches in their system as well, and they kind of expanded for people to put more, lives in it. But
Right.
that should be finalized, because you will get 100% of your money if you apply by this date, 75 by this date. That number should be pretty well finalized by the middle of August.
Okay.
What is the best number on that now?
For Hope, 176.
No, I mean, what's the amount, what is the 100% amount? for Hope Scholarship.
You know what that is, Lauren?
Yeah, it is. Just a second. Well, for 25-26, it was 5267.38, $5,267.38.
Times 176. If the number's similar to that for this year, which it'll probably be more. Everything else has went up.
And while we're, can I talk
Yeah,
about
go ahead.
something for Hope Scholarship? I'll give you all these regarding Hope Scholarship. While I was at summer conference, this was something that they handed out from Office of School Finance, just regarding Hope Scholarship, that they're kind of given, for, fact checking. Kind of so we're all on the same page regarding Hope Scholarship. Hope Scholarship, or Hope Scholarships do not factor into the funding formula. If the child uses the Hope Scholarship to exit public schools to choose another school option, the county keeps the money. It does not follow the child. That's actually false. The funds are not retained by the county school system. And then what happens if a student leaves public school for private school, or leaves traditional public school for public charter school, or if they leave for a homeschool, kind of those types of things. Another narrative that's out there are that schools and counties need to cut positions at the top because they're too top heavy, and how that's kind of false, because county courts, or how that is false because county boards of education and county superintendents are responsible for determining appropriate staffing, and all the stuff that the superintendent is responsible for. And statewide county administrators' salaries and benefits only account for about 2.47. Because I think that was one of the things that went out there. I saw it on Facebook about, all these superintendent salaries and all that sort of stuff. But what people failed to put out there is, and we were talking about this, is that, our superintendent is also a child nutrition director. So how many hats do some of these superintendents truly wear? So whenever you look at superintendent salaries, what one superintendent does compared to what another superintendent does, it doesn't really match. A Hope Scholarship, as it goes on, just some of the stuff, eligibility requirements and, like attendance, that sort of stuff, academic reporting, invoicing. So I will tell you this, we did get, notice from the state. I got it actually last week that we had a Hope Scholarship student come back to public ed last year. So we will be getting back from the state, I think it's about $4,000. So I just have to create that invoice and send it to them. But if they come back, we get that money back from the state because they do not get to keep that money. So we did not have any from 25, but this was from 26. So we will get that money back, but a portion of those funds back because it's prorated for the school year. So we did have one last year.
Did they share why they came back?
No, so we don't get that information. We just get the prorated portion. So kind of like whenever, the other schools invoice us for the, like virtual schools, they invoice us. We are now getting that we get that money back, but we don't know any of their details or any
Can
of
we
that sort of
talk
stuff.
to the students' parents or guardians and ask encourage them to?
So I could share that ID number and then we could,
I'll check with Dustin to see what rules are. They have some
Right,
interesting rules. but
yeah.
I'll ask
'Cause
him
it
to
would
see if
be-
we can.
If we could, then that might be interesting and be able to give, could we use, even if it's anonymous or anonymized testimonies, what their experience was and why they decided to return back to public ed?
and then one other thing under number 7. I have to text this down to you all, is that any of our students who are Hope Scholarship students, we are supposed to be invoicing for those students if they are playing extracurriculars or participating in our extracurriculars, we are supposed to be invoicing for those. So you have to have a policy and all that kind of good stuff, to make sure that we are collecting funds. So there's actually a portal out there that, instead of those funds going directly to that family, we,
Program.
yeah, we go out there and create an invoice and then those funds will come here. Also the same way that, let's say that there was a homeschool student, or not a homeschool student, but a Hope student who decided that they wanted to take one of our electives through subject, we can bill for that class. So we just have to make sure that we have a policy and then we would go out there on the portal through the state. We create those invoices and then it would automatically be deducted from their funds. So that's all I have for Hope.
That's why we like you on.
Well, I'm gonna get that money back.
That's
We're
right.
giving the money here.
Did they give you the rate?
So what it actually does, what we have to do, is we have to take the rate. So like for the 25-26, it's 52.6738. So Mr. Lester was working on a policy to bring before you all.
Mhm.
And, sorry, Mush,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Steal your thunder.
So I'll just talk about the class portion of it. So on the class portion of it, if our classes are, and I don't know how the high school works, if it's a 7 period day. So if it's a 7 period day, we would take that $5,200 divided by 7 class periods, and we would get 1/7 of that if they are taking one of our classes. So we would get 1/7 of that. Now, if they're in extracurriculars, we would have to set up a fee structure of what they're doing. And he pulled a policy that we would have to bring before you all and decide. Now, there's gonna be backlash. There will be community backlash because it's never been done. I mean, I know that whenever we were at a treasurer's meeting, counties have not done this, but it is required. And it does not say may, it says that we shall charge Hope Scholarship students who are participating in any extracurriculars that we are offering. But counties have not done it yet. So, and I know like in Raleigh County, they haven't done any of it. And there are students, And I'm pretty sure that we have a couple students who are playing football, who go to PCA, who get Hope Scholarship, and we are not charging them to play. So,
Fix it.
Row the hoe or hoe the row or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll clear the path.
so, and I know Braxton County, I think, put out a big blurb about, what they were doing. So treasurers haven't gone there yet, but as we continue to be under, we're,
So is the state department enforcing any of this with these other counties that are not?
they have not started enforcing it yet. I think it's gonna be one of those things where somebody is gonna go after them. Our first step is we have to have a policy.
Right.
So our first step is we have to have a policy and we have to have our fee structure. The classes are pretty simple because we're gonna
We
take,
can figure that out.
we can take 1/7, whatever the hope is. But then our next step is if you're participating in an SSAC sanctioned, sport, what is our fee structure?
When do you anticipate having it?
I've almost got it finished. Some of the counties I've talked to for like SSAC sports are doing like 1/12, which their classes were 6, so they kind of just double and we'll cut it in half basically. So I was kind of thinking maybe 1/14, but I wasn't quite sure. I hadn't discussed that with you all yet, but that's kind of what I was thinking for the SSAC sport.
And it even says right here in the form you gave us, Ms. Krug, it says SSAC and WVB have not defined reason where extracurricular fees. The Hope Scholarship Board adopted a definition focused on what a prudent person would incur under similar circumstances. So you figure if they're playing in league play or something, they have to buy their equipment, they have to, or rent their equipment, what have you. And it would be very dependent on how many players are on the team, how many,
Yeah, football players would definitely require a whole lot more money, huh?
yeah. So I think there's some flexibility there, but it has to be, reasonable, obviously.
And something else we have to think of too is we've already started, like, our sports this year will be starting next week.
Mhm.
So I don't know that it's something that for athletics and extracurricular, is it something that we put in place this year? Is it something that we put in place for, winter sport?
Yeah, we could do, if it's ready, second semester,
Yeah, so we could put it in for maybe like
gotta start somewhere.
yeah, so we could put it in for winter sports but if classes start, I mean, the classes are pretty easy that we can get those.
To use my favorite word, retroactive, can that happen?
I don't know that we would be able to retroactive it but we could always start second semester with the athletic portion of it. And then just move forward.
Yeah, by the time you would bring the policy and fee structure to, Bowles Rice first, and then the board, by then, you would hit the ground running for second semester.
But it's a way to recapture some money that we're not currently getting. I mean, the athletics would have to get the money we would have to probably pass along to the school. Or they would have to purchase the items from here because we can't write the money to the school. But, we can get in logistics and the weeds later on with that, but, there's a way to recapture some of our money.
Does that apply to private schools as well?
If they're Hope Scholarship recipient.
Right.
If they would be in a
Right.
scholarship.
Every little bit.
Is there anything if they are going to, let's say someone's attending a private school, they want to play sports here, but they're not a recipient of the scholarship, we wouldn't be able to recoup any money from them. It
I
would,
don't think so.
we would just be able to do the fee structure for Hope Scholarship recipient.
Well, that sounds like that could be a legal battle.
Mm-hmm.
Wait and a half.
Yep. Is there anything else on Hope Scholarship? Okay. Item F, strategic plan.
Dr. Knott is passing down the goals that is in this year's strategic plan for the county. However, we're open to discussion. Some of the percentages seem a little low, so we definitely invite your feedback.
What was the growth last year to this year in some of these areas? Like overall?
Well, that's in my next.
No, I'm just wondering, is it 5% or was it 10% or was it 2% or?
Most of the, if you look at the summative scores last year to this year, like last year's third graders to this year's fourth graders, most all grades at all school, well, at the elementary, sorry, at the elementary did meet the 5%. However, there were a couple classrooms.
I was just saying, maybe 5% isn't low, if that's generally, what do we want to shoot higher?
Would it be easier if we talked about end of year test results first and then the strategic plan?
Yeah, we can talk about those.
Talk about the scores first.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay. That's fine.
Sometimes it's easier to talk about where we're going.
Yeah.
Where we've been.
Know where we're at.
Yeah.
Where we've been first.
We can go back to it.
If there's no motion, we turn the air back on.
There's no click here under.
Okay with that.
And then First one is elementary and these are second.
No, I got a hot one in the garage.
Second one hasn't come yet. They're the same.
All right, we may be short one here.
Short one.
Elementary.
And then second.
Okay, on the first page, are the county scores. The first two columns are the Ames Web Plus. The first chart is on reading, and that's for grades K through 2. And we wanted 70% proficiency growth in both reading and math. So if you look at the beginning of the year and then the last column, end of the year, in reading, we almost met that goal. We did in kindergarten, but we fell short just a few percentage points there for first and second. And then math, we met that goal, the 70% proficient in kindergarten at first, but we missed it by 3% in second.
And so I want to also refer back to the Third Grade Success Act in regards to this. Are we holding true to that? And do we have to
Yes.
hold any kids back?
This coming school year is when the retention will come into play.
Okay.
That is reflected in our grading policy. So we have all of the parent forms. We've been doing that for the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So we've been ready for it.
Mhm.
But this coming school year will be the third grade retentions. We'll have to take a serious look at those kids. Now, there's 8 exemptions that's listed in the policy too. I think Dr. Green has that policy on.
We're not
later.
waiting until they get to third grade though to.
No,
Okay, okay.
we are working we have early literacy coaches and early numeracy coaches. And we've been working on this since it came
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have we had to, and you might not know the answer, but have we had to retain any kids since?
I'm not sure that we've had any third grade retentions. I would have to get that number for you.
Or any
Or K
K
through.
through 3?
I could get that number for you.
Okay.
I don't have it all off of my head.
I think there were a couple. I was just wondering too, do you know, this year's third graders based on these test scores, if it had to be retained, how many of them? Yeah. Just to try to see if we're getting somewhere.
Mhm.
I think we are with our foundations curriculum and our math. We have really strong interventions put in place. Small group interventions, some go out to Title I, some stay with the classroom teacher or the ECAT. For instance, at one elementary school, I don't want to give all the highlights away because they're going to want to present their own data, but this first grade classroom had a very high percentage of students either in the red or yellow and finished the year with all of them in the green, which was
That's great.
proficient.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good highlights that the schools will share, but there's little pockets of areas where we still need to do a lot of work. The Cambium benchmark, you can look at the goals, either from last year's summative assessment to this year's summative assessment, or you can look at the Cambium benchmark to the end of the year. And that's the data that I gave you on your charts. And then the second page and third page are the individual schools. So if you look at the Cambium benchmark that they take back in the fall, that is all of the grade level standards that they have to know at that grade level. And then at the end of the year, they're tested on the summative assessment. So if you look at it that way, then we met our 5% goal. But like I said, if you look at it from last year's summative assessment to this year's summative assessment, we do have a couple classrooms that did not meet the 5%, but the majority did.
Are those spread throughout the schools or are they in one school, couple schools?
Mainly at one.
And
So
so
what goal-
where has goal met? That's still in data that's embargoed. Is that what they call it, embargoed?
Right. I
Okay.
didn't put the percentages
Right.
on your handouts just because the scores are embargoed.
Okay, so we'll get those once they're released.
Right. I
Okay.
have those on my sheet, but I didn't.
Yeah,
include
that's
those on
fine.
yours.
First grade math was working hard.
Mhm. Overall, I was pleased with the elementary scores. Some of the scores coming out this fall are better than they have been in the last couple of years.
Where did I saw something in the news but yeah, for reading,
Took a big jump, yes, West Virginia.
for the stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Not gonna say anything.
What you got, Greg?
No,
You have a question
No.
for me?
Mr. Bergen just made a remark that I'm not gonna respond to. He was making a joke.
All right, the next one is secondary. And I took a little bit of a different turn than Ms. Jones does because I use the growth measure that the state measures students on. So you've seen it. Every principal's given it to you. I've given it to you. You know, the blue, the green, the yellow, and the red. Well, and within each of, huh?
The yellow?
Orange, yellow, orange.
Or yellow.
Yeah,
Hey,
sorry.
you know,
Is that McDowell County coming?
I did not grow up there. I just taught there.
Apparently it was too long.
Yeah. Anywho,
I think the sugar kicked in.
so within each of those collars, there are brackets, and when students get growth, if they move from one part of that bracket to the next. So when you look at it in like sixth grade, 29% of our students, only 29% in math and 35%. So when we're talking about we're talking about that 5% growth goal. The secondary building has a long way to go for that, before that 5% becomes something that, so yeah, so minuscule. And then the subgroup data, and when I typed it in on one device, I guess on the other one, I went to print it from it, it didn't finish, but, you can kind of see like when I gave you the subgroup data, but again, we focus on growth because the proficiency ratings, we just can't give that to you yet. You can see that by and large, there is some growth in the subgroups. I kind of wanted just to kind of give you, this is from beginning of the year to the middle of the year, or to the end of the year. The overall is from year to year, and the subgroup is from beginning to end. Just kind of where we are. We have a lot of a lot of work to do. I will say that the sixth grade scores, quite frankly, Jumping Branch is responsible for a lot of the growth that we saw in our sixth grade scores. Then we go into seventh grade.
Let me stop you there for a minute. Is that evident because sixth grade stayed at Jumping Branch last year, or is that just the way it works out with the data?
I think both of those options are part of your answer.
Okay.
I think that typically the Jumping Branch kids typically come in to the middle school more prepared than the other two elementary schools. That's just the way the data typically is. But also, I think that group of sixth graders, with the exception of a couple in that group, have been with that teacher for pretty much ever. And so she, is able just to keep pushing them year after year. So I think there's both the factors play a part in that, but also, at least in the math, Jumping Branch had a experienced trained sixth grade math teacher. The middle school had a long-term sub who had really never been a teacher before. They did have a certified experienced ELA teacher, so we were kind of hoping we would have more, but we didn't. And Miss Hawkins is kind of worked on that. We redid the sixth grade team to be, more like a elementary model, like that transition year. So she's been working over the summer to decide what that ultimately is going to look like. And now that she has all of her team together, all of her teachers in place, they can really work and decide how they're going to divide up the instruction and to support those kids. Then we go into seventh grade. We see a little bit better with math anyways. Percentage of students growing at least one level. Then you look at the subgroup data, the ELA growth is a little better, but there's still a long way to go with that. Eighth grade, we still have too low a percentage of students that have made what we would consider measurable growth in that regard. And then you get into ninth grade and we begin to see, and you notice that the proficiency scale changes. Instead of proficient of growing one level, it's just overall proficiency growth. And that's because they don't have the same measurement in high school. You're measuring two different assessments. But we saw 20% growth in math and 21% growth in ELA in ninth grade. And I will just be honest with you that 20% in math was all second semester. That all came from second semester. And
what was the difference between first and second?
Experienced certified math teacher.
Okay, I figured that was the reason.
Who did not give up.
Okay.
And then, but what I would like to have honestly seen more growth in ELA, because there was much more potential for that. But what we did see in particular is it's not uncommon to have a little bit higher growth going from the GSA to the SAT model, because the SAT is just not as rigorous as the GSA. It's just not. But this year, it kind of, the ninth graders kind of overshot that a little bit on either side. So there is, if we can sustain some of that momentum in 10th, 11th grade year, I think we're gonna have some pretty good SAT scores, which is, the ones that were measured on for high school students. So if we can continue that over the next 2 years, then I think we're gonna be pretty good. 10th grade, 6th and 7th% growth from 9th grade to 10th grade. There's a little bit of if you look at the subgroup data, it's all over the place. Math is a negative growth. And Ms. Hawkins is aware of that, and she's working to address that. And then 11th grade, I wasn't able to get to the subgroup data for 11th grade, but there's just a regression. And in all honesty, it's a lack of consistent quality instruction.
If you follow this 11th grade group back years, is this group, have they consistently been low because of the COVID loss, or is this something that just happened?
This was lack of consistent instruction in 11th grade.
An expectation.
Yeah. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you. That's exactly what it was. And I'll tell you, in the year before 11th grade, our passing rate was higher than the state average for the SAT in math. And this group is much stronger than the previous 11th grade group. So there's no reason that we shouldn't have been even higher than we were before. Not to be like, I'm just giving you the
Take the
honest.
air out of the room there.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that Ms. Hawkins and I had some hard conversations about, diving into what was going on.
Mhm.
But also Ms. Hawkins had some hard conversations at the end of the year.
With the staff.
Yes. So no, I guess we can go back to that.
One question. So when we're looking at growth, student growth one level.
Yeah.
So let's say we have 100 students and we have 25 of them that are already in the green.
Mhm.
Are we basing that percentage on 75 students? Because if they're in the green, they can't go up.
But they
There
can.
is.
The only one that
Seed,
doesn't,
okay,
the only one that doesn't go up is blue.
okay,
And if you stay blue, you get the growth point no matter what.
okay, all right.
But, and I know this is kind of all over the place. We're kind of trying to give you a little bit of what you wanted without, going to jail here. So when, at the beginning of next month, whenever, we're allowed to discuss those, Ms. Jones and I'll come back to you with more complete.
Okay,
Well,
Thank
our principals may want to present
yeah.
their data.
Maybe.
I think my elementary, or the elementary principals would want to present their data.
We would love it.
We would love it.
All right, so let's go back and now talk about our strategic plan.
So do not.
We have to do a strategic plan every year, and it has to be submitted to the state through the GPS system. And it's due June 30th, and I believe we submitted ours on the 28th of June, so we met that deadline for the state. But with that being said, it is a living document, so we want your feedback today on the goals that I passed out. We'll get feedback at our first price meeting of the school year. So that, I gave you the goals. So the first one is just purely academic, reading, math, and science. By the end of the fiscal year 27 school year, general summative assessment, PSAT, and SAT data will demonstrate 5% proficiency growth in math, reading, and science. And Ames Web Plus data will demonstrate at least 75% proficiency in reading and math. Now, you have to remember Ames Web Plus is just for kindergarten through second grade.
And I believe we've had, what, 70% last
Last
time?
year.
Mhm.
We kept it the 5% for grades 3 through 11. That we can share your ideas, your feedback, your input, what you all feel is appropriate.
Given what you all know and we don't, and what you've shared. Is 5% enough? Is it too much? Is it too little?
I would definitely not go lower than 5% because we have to keep moving.
Have to keep going forward.
I think we just have to have some accountability and expectations, consistent expectations.
I think when we get down here to I to discuss Board of Education goals, we all need to read what we have. And everybody's gonna think that you and I collaborated.
Oh, well, I've been out of town for 4 months, so probably didn't collaborate.
And, you know, looking back, you reached or almost reached your 70%. So I think the 75% is a good
I
goal.
think we've got to stretch ourselves higher.
Mhm.
And if we miss it by 1 or 2%, at least we
It was still the
stretched
goal
and
and you
we
shot
grew.
for it.
Right.
I agree.
So as a part of this, what are the objectives that you guys have laid out to help get you to?
I can email you the big copy. This copy has what tools we're gonna use to monitor it. Has our strategies and it has all the action steps. So I can email that document to you. Quite long.
Yeah.
But, there's lots of things that we had in place last year that will carry over. I think the high school may have some new programs or taking out IXL.
I don't think I know, the high school has taken out some programs, but then we've reworked how the high school kind of operates and given a lot of the ownership of like student data and accountability, back to the teachers. And so there, we hired the department chairs in the spring. And so the high school has spent a lot of time trying to training those people that are going to be in those positions, how to run those meetings, how to better look at the data and not just be such an administrator focused. And so the teachers come with it. And then just finally, Ms. Jones hit on it a little bit ago, just the expectation, like when you come, you're prepared for that. So that's kind of the direction they're going. Not so much a reliance on programs, just kind of more of a change in operating procedures in the building, as far as, what teachers are doing. Instead of it, like they come in and, let's give you an example. This is pretty screen, okay? Can't talk about it anymore. All right, anyways, instead of that being done for them, they have to do that. And then there are even more intense conversations about why those boxes are the way they are, and really kind of drill it down. And so they have to reflect and really sit with it and not just like, oh yeah, here it is, and walk out the door. So that's kind of the thing, but I will go when we talk about the goals. Yeah, 5% at the high school, that's, I'm not gonna say it's, lofty, but great. But at the same point, we need to remember that if we do decide to change the strategic plan goals, the strategic plan goals can stay the same from year to year.
Right.
And so if you all decide as a board, that you want to set, you want 50%, mastery across the board. Well, we hanging out, we might be hanging out in single digits over here in one grade. We ain't gonna talk about it, but we might be, I don't know. That's still the direction that we need to go. And so it's, even that would not be too lofty of a goal, because that's where we're going. And all the efforts that we are doing school-wide need to be devoted to that. So when you think about those things, if you set it really high, don't necessarily think it's unachievable or it's gonna be demoralizing. The fact of the matter is, if we set it less than 100, we're saying it's okay if one kid
Well,
isn't.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you set it too low, then you're promoting underachievement.
Right.
So, I would rather set a lofty goal and us work really hard to try to get there and miss the mark than to set a really low goal and hit our mark, but not push our students to achieve
Right.
their maximum potential, right?
Yeah.
We don't wanna be
We don't wanna be
comfortable with that.
Any growth, I guess, we're happy with, but honestly, I'm not going out and celebrating 5% growth.
Right.
In proficiency, like, that's, three kids maybe, so that's not really necessarily helpful. So, and again, think about it. It's multi-year, so you set it at 50%, I don't know. You set it whatever you think is appropriate, but you set it really high, we don't hit it, we carry it, we copy and paste that goal next year, and we keep trying to get there. And when we get close to it, we'll change it and we'll move it to the next level.
He did mention the department chairs at the secondary building. At the elementary, they're PLC coordinators, and they have the same type of meetings. And not only will they analyze the year-end scores, but every week that they have those meetings, they are looking at assessments, they are looking at strategies. So we have that constant work there with the grade level teams. The grade level teachers.
So what are we doing that's helping us get there, and what did we do last year that just didn't work?
I think the focus being on teaching the standards based, not just picking up the textbook and going at it, but making sure you're actually teaching the standards, not just barely hitting them, but teaching them deep, because there's lots of verbs in the standards, and you may hit it up here, but you really need to go deep and really teach that standard. I think we did a good job at that on the elementary level. I think our phonics and reading instruction, with the science of reading with our State Department, that initiative and us really jumping on board there has helped tremendously with our reading.
I would agree with that. And to that end, Kristen Richmond is single-handedly responsible for our growth with science of reading.
Our writing too, we got top score with reading. We tried it in a few grade levels. Last year we had a K5. So the little kindergartners are learning it, and it progresses over the year. Last year, Dr. Green added it for 6 through 8. And I believe she's adding it 9 through 12.
We are. So
it's the same reading system all the way through.
So that's, we're, if in the secondary level, when you get into the weeds, we're taking some of the things that we know work from other districts, but also what we've already seen here. There's going to be a greater emphasis on using the resources the state has provided. The state provides us, in grades 3 through 8, access to the testing platform and practice assessments and the ability to build your own assessments in there to meet the demand that they're going to be assessed at the end of the year. So there's going to be a greater emphasis on that. That's one of those accountability pieces. I've talked to the high school administrators at the end of the year and explained that this is an expectation. It was explained before, but they're going to be held accountable for making sure that their staff are using those practice assessments and those modules to guide their instruction and make sure they're assessing to the depth of the standard. Ms. Hawkins had asked at the end of the year to add top score writing. We do know that it's done wonders in the elementary. And then in the secondary level, in eighth grade in particular, I will say that eighth grade ELA teacher, she really, she hit top score very hard last year. And she saw some pretty decent growth, as a benefit in ELA scores. And so that will continue, and we'll take that into the high school. And at the beginning of the school year, we will train the entire high school, whether you are a music teacher or a science teacher. They will be trained in top score writing. And though the rubrics from top score writing, which align to our state writing platform, our state writing rubrics, will be used to pretty much grade writing school-wide. And Ms. Hawkins has told all teachers that she expects at least 3 major writing pieces a year, regardless whether you're PE or ELA. So there will be a major focus on writing across the curriculum, which will build in a lot of which will really go to help those ELA skills. So, we're taking what we kind of know what works from other places, we're putting it in place, and it's just going to have to be a year of, if you don't do it, then we're going to follow progressive discipline.
So that's the accountability piece then.
Yep.
Follow on when he mentioned our specialist, Kristen Richmond. I think all of our specialists at the elementary level and secondary level, they've worked really hard. They go to the PLC meetings, they model. I think they've been a big piece in this growth as well.
And so we saw math and reading, but we didn't get science data either in this.
That will come when in August or the first board meeting in September.
You want me to move on to goal 2?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Goal 2, the district will promote a safe and healthy environment for all students by incorporating high-quality student-focused support services to decrease the county chronic absences rate by 5% and decrease discipline referrals by 5% for the 27 academic year as compared to the 26 data.
I know we get graded on our chronic absenteeism. Do we get graded on our discipline rate?
Yes, that's part of our balanced scorecard. Especially the out-of-school suspensions, they really,
Because I just worry that if we are being, if we're trying to decrease discipline referrals, that someone might say,
It's not.
this is not that bad, I'm not going to worry about it. And then we've set up let's see what all I can get away from. And if you don't have a disciplined learning environment, you don't have a learning environment. Sorry, go ahead.
To piggyback off of that, yes, the elementaries and middle school are graded on discipline. But because we are a 6-12 school, you are graded on the model that is your highest grade.
Mhm.
So we are actually graded on a high school. Our balanced scorecard is a high school balanced scorecard. So we don't have the behavior index. And so we don't get penalized, particularly for that. So there really isn't a desire to there always is a desire to reduce discipline referrals.
Sure.
Because if you're doing it the right way,
Right.
it means it's getting better.
Right.
But if you're just lying because you don't want to get in trouble, that's a different story. But so at the secondary level, it's not as much of a worry there. And at the secondary level has been decreasing referrals for several years now, and it has not been a matter of not putting things in.
Mhm.
In fact, when my first year back as principal, everything went in that system, and we still had some decreases. So I think we are moving in the right direction there. nothing is perfect by any
Right.
stretch of the mean. But I'll tell you, taking the phone out of the high school was the best thing that we ever did. And we
It
did it a year
was.
before this day. And I
It,
know that
it
there
was, but there are still issues with that
There
that need
are.
to be resolved.
there are.
Yeah.
And there always are going to be.
There, you're right. You're right.
But what culture was, we saw a major shift in our school.
Mhm.
As a result, and I honestly thought the discipline referrals would go up,
Mhm.
but they did the opposite because they weren't always going to the bathroom to,
Mhm.
text about, their friend that they got mad at over here 2 minutes ago. So, I think that part, I think as far as the disciplinary referrals, I think by and large, I think that keeping them going down, I think is realistic for our district.
Okay.
And I think it helps too with the structured PBIS that all the schools have. I think with those consistent expectations school-wide and things being entered into WEBIS, I think we should have a goal.
Right.
Discipline does affect special ed. Accountability.
It's in here in the determination as well.
Okay, and then goal 3, it doesn't have any percentages. So Summers County Schools will provide diverse opportunities for family and community involvement. Activities to contribute to the academic success of students by having at least one activity per quarter. So that's easy for elementary, but then when you look at the high school, it's really easy for them too, because they do the, Tailgate for
Tailgate.
education, they do FAFSA nights, they do different things to get parents in. So 1 a quarter, I think, is very reasonable.
Yeah. You sound good to me.
Yes.
And then I will send you all this, and just know that we may make a few little edits here and there, but that is.
What I would like is everything that you are giving us, have it uploaded and added to our file. If you would, and that way it's easier for me when I need to go look for it, electronically than to start going back through folders.
Yeah.
And we don't need to take action on the strategic plan, do we? I mean, okay. All right, so we are down now to section H. Before we jump to work session item H, does anyone need to take a breather? Are we good to keep going? Okay, I hear nothing, so we're gonna keep going.
So
So,
needs to open up them caramel creams. I know that.
so item H, special education determination.
All right,
Pass them down.
so
Oh.
every year they give a determination to the LEA. You're either one of 4 requirements. You're one of 4 quadrants. You either meet requirements, need assistance, need intervention, or need substantial intervention. Basically what that looks at is your graduation rate, your dropout, your assessments, your suspension, expulsion, least restrictive environment, your pre-school outcomes, your parent involvement, your post-school outcomes. They look at compliance indicators, monitoring and accountability processes. I'm gonna go over just a few of those. I'm gonna send you all this document in an email. There's a lot of pages to it. That way-
You're gonna upload it.
I'm gonna upload it to your phone.
And Denise has the shared folder, so.
Yeah. So we'll have that uploaded. But there's a lot of things in here. I'll just briefly go over them. As far as the state target for graduation, it was 86.2. We were at 71.43, so we didn't quite meet that there, so we didn't get a point. Our dropout rate, which going back to the percentages of students, our dropout rate was 14.29%, which sounds high, but when you look at the amount of students we have, it's really not that bad number of students. The state rate was 5.92, and their target was 3.17, so we didn't get a point there either. As far as assessments, out of a possible 1.5 points, we got half of a point there for our GSA and ASA. Our proficiency, we got 1/4 of a point out of that 1.5 points. We got all the points for the proficiency gap on the GSA, so making improvements. Our suspension and expulsion rate was 1.43. The state target was 3, so we got a point for that. For our educational environments, or our least restrictive environment areas, possible 3 points, we got 1.3 points. So we got some growth in our separate class setting, the LRE of 2. Our preschool, we got all of our points for our regular education programs, our separate setting in pre-K, and our homeschooled students in pre-K. The outcomes, we got all the points possible for social emotional achievement, knowledge and skills growth and achievement, and behavior achievements. For our parental involvement, it was not applicable for us, so it didn't need. Our response rate for our indicator 14, we had a 100% response rate. We got the point for that.
It's a survey that we.
Yeah.
With graduate.
And our post-school outcomes, which is like any special education students, if they do secondary education or training or employment, we were at 84.62 response rate on that. They wanted you to be at 73, so we got the full point for that. And with that percentage again, that was just a handful of students that didn't answer that. So out of a possible 15.75 points, we got 9.55, which puts us at 60.63 on that. And then for our IDEA Part B, we got all the points for everything that I'm going to mention to you. So suspension and expulsion by ethnicity, we got the points there. We passed that. For our disproportionate ratio for students with different backgrounds and things, we got all the points there. And any disproportionate representation for specific categories, there were none, so we got the points for that. So we were consistent with our discipline. Our supervision for our child find, we were at 100% rate for our evaluation timelines. In special ed, you have 80 days to complete the whole process, and we were able to complete all those on time. Our early childhood transitions, for your students in early childhood education, we met all the points there at 100%. Secondary transition, where students do surveys and set up their plans for their future, we were at 80% on that. The state rate was, that's got to be a typo. We earned all the points on it according to the state, but our rate is showing below the target. So I think that must be a typo because we earned all the points there. Our general supervision under indicator 18, we earned all the points on that. Our monitoring and accountability, we were good there. So out of 20 points, we earned 20 points. So we got 100% compliance rate for IDEA. When you go, if I can get my page turned. To our determination, we participated in the state systemic improvement plan. We earned a bonus point of 0.75. So when you get to the last page, and you guys, like I said, I'll send this to you all. Out of 35.75 points, we earned 30.3 points. So we were 84.76, and we meet the requirements for the determination. That's a lot of information to take in, but we were at the top there, so we're pretty good.
Okay, great. What we like to hear. All right, item I, Board of Education goals. So we talked about this, I think at our last meeting, may have been, but I asked Dr. Knott to put this on this agenda for us to set our goals for 26, 27. We did want to work in conjunction with the strategic plan, and then our goals will also feed into the superintendent's goals, which we will set prior to September 15th. That way we're all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. So I did ask each board member to think about a goal and bring at least one goal with you to this meeting so we could set our goals for 26, 27. I think there's probably going to be some overlapping goals here as we start talking about what we have as a goal. If anyone has a goal they would like to start with, if not, I have a few that I have thought about that kind of, and as Mr. Brogan said, he we may think that he and Ms. Jones have collaborated with their strategic plan and goals, but I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. That means we're all thinking very similar. So, one of the first things that I want to think about as far as a goal for our county, and that's to increase our community involvement. And so that's the first goal I'll throw out, and then somebody else can throw one out. But if we can increase our community involvement, we've struggled for years trying to pass a levy. And maybe the more community involvement we get, the more the community sees the financial needs of Summers County schools, and the better chance we have of potentially passing a levy. So we've talked in years past of having a social media liaison for Summers County. I do like the quarterly quarterly opportunities for families to be participate in activities that kind of feeds into to increasing community involvement. And the main thing is we need to get our story out to the community, and we need to invite the community to come and help us write that story. So that's one of mine that I have written down, and that's to increase community involvement. So if anyone else would like to share a goal, and then once we go through goals that we are considering, then we can decide what goals we want to have for the board.
Well, I don't have mine in the same order. But I led off with continue the safe workplace and learning environment, which is your goal two, basically. Then continue to raise scores by 5% is your goal number one. I don't know if this has to be a goal, but I used Kenny language here, so I said I put Bloodhound, the free money and grants, etc. Go after that every avenue. Make sure that you go down every avenue to get the free money, whatever's out there. Continue with fiscal responsibilities. And then last, we'll hit your goal number 3, promote student engagement in CTE and extracurricular activities.
What was that last one?
Promote student engagement in CTE and extracurricular activities.
Well, that was one of my goals that I really want to press on with the CTE program. Now we lost our electrical program, but I would like to see us work towards something where we can partner with New River Community Technical School or something where our kids have the opportunity for not just electrical. Welding is a big career for our young people. I mean, if you go to hire somebody now, it's hard to find anybody in our county.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we're not producing people like we did my generation. That can go out here and do the skilled labor.
Auto mechanics and
Auto mechanics, masonry, auto body. I mean, have you tried to get a car worked on, your auto body work anywhere? It's ridiculous. But also, another thing that I like Dr. Green and Ms. Jones touched on too is accountability. I know we have a lot of good things going on in our school system, but we need to make sure that we're holding people to count on some of these things.
We will probably always have a problem with chronic absenteeism, but that's one of my big things is how can we continue to tackle that? You know, we have never fully recovered from COVID and getting those kids back in the seats, and it's part of it. And I will always stand on the soapbox and preach that part of it's the parents. The parents got into this habit of not getting up and getting those kids back to school, and they liked that. So one of my big goals that I had in mind was how are we going to continue to tackle chronic absenteeism?
So just on the other ones that I have written down, they very much go in line with some of the ones that were mentioned. So Mr. Brogan mentioned to continue a safe learning and workplace environment, and I had as a goal to maintain our facilities to support a safe and productive learning environment. So obviously that's something we need to be able to do is maintain our facilities. And then did you have any, Mrs. Harvey?
Yeah, so I'd like to see us be able to increase our student enrollment and retention and decrease our voluntary employee turnover, especially of certified teachers.
Okay. The only other one I had is just for us as a board to continue evaluating our progress. We do that with our reports that we get mid-year and what have you, and to make sure we as a board are providing the resources that our staff need to be able to do their jobs effectively. Whether that be policy that we need to put in place or whether it be consideration of a purchase or what have you to be able to support our staff. So I'm going to go back over these and then we're going to decide how we want to rank them. If we want to rank them, we don't have to. And if we want to combine anything or change it or how we want to reword it. So once we do that, Dr. Knott, I'll let you write them down and that way we can have them for the minutes and then to be able to put on our website.
I wanted to make a note that it's 403. Are we just gonna continue and then
Yeah,
take the meetings there?
yeah, that was our plan, was to go
Okay.
through the work session and then just continue through with the
Okay.
meeting. Yes.
All right, wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so again, I've kind of written these down and I ran out of space, so I wrote some above and some below, so they're not going to be in the order we originally heard it. We want to decrease voluntary turnover of staff. And tell me if I'm saying these wrong, and with an emphasis on certified staff. Increase student enrollment and retention. And we could possibly combine that into one goal.
That's what I was thinking.
So that can be goal one. Dr. Knott, I could send this to you probably in an email and then we can word it. What we can do is just determine if we are okay with these goals. We will type them up, bring them to the next meeting, and then we can approve them as a board, if that sounds okay with everyone.
Sounds good. That way we
Okay.
can look at them
Um,
Just my opinion, since it's in the strategic plan, I mean, it really should go without saying that we provide a safe and healthy environment.
Mhm.
I don't know that we need to include that as well. So
Okay.
that's what everybody thinks. Narrow us down a little.
Yep. And I'm okay with that because I think that's something we're all gonna strive to do, whether that's a goal or not. So we will put a mark through that one. Increase community involvement. We want that as a goal.
Goal three.
I think we did.
Strategic plan.
And we'll add some more verbiage to
Yeah, I was
that.
gonna say that.
How we could increase community involvement. Increase community involvement through, let's see here.
Well, you mentioned appointing a social media liaison. I mean, I think that's a great idea. I know the schools already put a lot of stuff out there, but, and, you know, then this website does too.
The board office is trying to.
Yeah.
So increase community involvement through, through opportunities. And, what's the word I'm looking for? Opportunities and,
Can you read it again?
increase community involvement through opportunities. And what I'm thinking about is, and through, knowledge sharing, but I don't know how to word that into a goal. Cause I mean, just being able to tell our story to the community, to have them see what's going on and want to become involved.
Positive messaging.
And positive messaging. I like that.
Teamwork.
Because this is one time when there's no such thing as an information overload.
All right. So that'll be number 2. And then, we had continue fiscal responsibilities.
Yeah, good stewardship.
I think that goes with, that's when you said also about the.
Providing resources. Continue fiscal responsibilities in providing resources while evaluating progress. And also we want to provide those resources, but we want to evaluate the effectiveness of those resources. Because we can remain fiscally responsible and provide resources that really aren't effective. So I think we need to make sure we're fiscally responsible, but we're also providing effective resources. So we'll continue fiscal responsibilities in providing necessary resources while evaluating progress and effectiveness. Okay, then we have promoting student engagement in CT and extracurricular activities. Is that yours?
Yeah, I think that could,
Jay had the
Jay
same
as well,
thing.
yeah.
I think that could kind of go hand in hand with their goal, strategic plan goal 3, and actually part of. As far as what I said about the grants and such, that they don't have to be included at all, just
Just an objective,
sniff them out and go get them.
an objective 4
Student engagement in CTE and extracurricular activities. So that's gonna be a goal. Promote student engagement in CTE and extracurricular activities. Do we need to add anything to that? Okay, and then how do we want to word a goal for chronic absenteeism?
Well, that could be combined with somehow increased student enrollment,
And intent and retention while reducing chronic absenteeism.
right?
Okay, so here's what I have. Make sure I'm read these. Continue. Okay, goal 1 is going to be decrease voluntary turnover of staff while increasing student enrollment and retention, as well as reducing chronic absenteeism. That'll be goal 1. Goal 2, increase community involvement through opportunities and positive messaging. Goal number 3, continue fiscal responsibilities and provide resources while evaluating progress and effectiveness. And goal 4, promote student engagement in CTE and extracurricular activities. Does that cover it?
We didn't have the test scores in there.
Well, that comes with the evaluating progress and effectiveness.
Gotcha. Okay.
And 2 and 4 be combined.
Increase community involvement through opportunities and positive messaging effectiveness, promote student engagement in CTE. So that's increasing community involvement is one and promoting student engagement is another. You want to combine those?
Those-
Is there,
I'm just trying to get out of having 4, but
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
yeah,
Less
Four
than
we did.
5.
we could do 5. Each board member has to have one goal.
Have 11 to begin with.
Okay, so Dr. Knott, I will write these up and send them to you in an email, and then we can wordsmith them a little bit. And
Do
then
you all
bring them
have
to
any
the next.
feedback on what we just discussed?
I think everything is very relevant and goes along with the strategic plan.
All right, so we will take no action, but we will have those brought to the next board meeting for approval. J, Summers County School Virtual School Program K through 12.
That should be 6 through 12.
6 through 12. Okay, I thought we were being optimistic here. We're gonna go ahead and give it a try.
I don't think we're ready for that one just yet. We kind of already touched about that earlier on. I kind of told you where the enrollment is, and kind of how that meeting went. We put out some materials, last week. We shared that sign up link again. And there probably will be at least one more, virtual school meeting. Subject is also working on some more promotional material, with Ms. Hawkins on that one. So, she's supposed to give me an update on where we are with that. So that's kind of where we are. We'll come back at the first board meeting in August and we'll kind of let you know what the final numbers kind of look like. I will say that, we went ahead and, we have 50 seats. I think we're currently at 26 seats filled out of our 50. So we're going to use those, and then we have those ad hoc seats. So we're going to use those instead of West Virginia Virtual School. When we looked at, because for every ad hoc seat we purchase, we get a free credit recovery seat as well. So what it did was it ended up, yes, we might pay just a little bit more than West Virginia Virtual School, but when you take into the account the credit recovery savings that we have, it actually makes it pretty much price comparable to offer our kids a better product. So we are really excited. We're one of about 3 counties that are partnering with this program this year. So we're excited to see how it works.
Do you know the other counties that are participating?
One of them is Mineral and one of them is Cabell.
Okay.
And I have been in touch with one curriculum director so far. And, I've kind of agreed to stay in touch throughout this year to see how it works out.
So refresh my memory. We did talk about eventually bringing this to elementary. What's our timeline, do we think?
They are working this year to build their elementary curriculum. They have historically focused on secondary,
Mhm.
and they are, like I said, they're working to build it. I have given them the name of, one of our principals and one of our elementary specialists, like, hey, if you have any ideas, these two people are really, they know their stuff. Talk to them. Like if you need any other help, we'll be glad to kind of help move the way. And we're kind of doing the same thing in secondary
Mhm.
with some of the classes that they don't have that they need to build. Like I'm like, hey, talk to this person.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where we are. They think their hope is to have a elementary program at the start of next school year.
So that's for subject.
Yes.
What about with
Uh,
synchronous?
Proximity, they do have one. We've just never as a county adopted that model. And I think before Miss Jones kind of had some major life issues she had to take care of, we had begun exploring the possibility of making that happen. But we're just not ready. That's gonna take some time.
And so I will say that I think, me personally, think that when we start talking elementary, I think synchronous is gonna be more advantageous for our students. Um, and I know I keep talking about synchronous, but think that short of being in the classroom, it's the next best option. Now, subject may really surprise me, and I hope it does.
I was gonna say, plus they're younger students, they have to have an adult there.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. And
It's not
so,
like they can get them whenever they.
yeah, but what I guess where I'm going with this is think that when someone leaves our county, that 180 kids, if they leave in elementary school, we probably are not going to get them back. Because once they leave in elementary school and they start into whether it's online school, whether it's homeschool, whether it's private school, that's generally what they're going to stick with. And if you look at a lot of the virtual schools, they're targeting the younger kids because it's a better return on their investment. If they can get somebody from in kindergarten to come to their virtual program, they're generally going to have them for 12, 13 years.
And I
So-
agree with you 100% on that statement there. The problem is you and I can agree all day long. The synchronous or face-to-face option is the best one.
Right.
I have held that line for years. What'd you say, 977 students?
Yep.
We're at 977 students. These families, they don't want asynchronous. They don't want it. And
They don't want synchronous, you
They
mean?
do not want the synchronous option. When we have tried to keep them in and offer them that, they walk right out the door. The elementary will be no different. So to sit here and say, we're not gonna do both, it would honestly, for the most part, be a waste of our time
Mhm.
and energies. And when we're a staff, a county where we are, at the bare bones, personnel wise, and people are doing more things than there are hours in a day, we're gonna need to put our energies where we're probably gonna see the most return. And we're gonna have to do both.
And that's, yeah, and I'm not saying let's not offer asynchronous. But I think we need to be promoting them both equally. I think, and you may be right. We may get 3 people in synchronous and 17 in asynchronous. But if those 3 people stay in our county and they're successful in synchronous, I think that it's worth the effort.
Would you guys be able to provide, I know, let's see. You can't just say, Kenny brings his kids to Mr. Lester and Mr. Brogan brings his children to Mr. Lester and wants to pull them out. Can't just say, go talk to Mr. Angel or Miss Harvey about or can't tell us to go talk to him. But could you refer him to come to a set of parents who have participated in one or both platforms and say, these are some parent referrals that have participated in this program, and they can tell you the benefits to participating in this one or participating in that one.
So it depends on the context. If it's just we're trying to promote it and hey, this parent says, hey, I think I really want to take my kid online. Then we could send them to whoever,
Right.
and say, hey, these are the models we have, these are the experiences. We think you should talk to them.
Yeah.
And if you still don't like it, at least you have even more firsthand experience.
Right.
But the moment they say, I want to go homeschool, I want to go Hope Scholarship, you just
Conversation
gotta
ends.
take that form
Yeah.
and shut up and walk and say thank you and please let us know if we can help you out with anything else.
But I do think that Ms. Harvey has a valid point. If they are interested in
Right.
virtual through
Right.
Summers County, I think that if they have the ability to go to someone who has experienced both sides,
'Cause that's a
they
little-
can make an
that's
educated
a little
decision.
different. If they're interested in virtual,
Right.
we can
Refer them to
Right.
refer them.
Yeah, but if they're interested in.
Leaving, then we
leaving,
can't. Yeah. All right. Anything else on virtual? We good? Okay. Okay, discussion or possible action regarding policy revisions.
So this really wasn't supposed to be possible action. Possible action comes later. This was just at the work session part, so if you had any questions about why we were putting these policies out.
Mhm.
We could talk about it, or the directors could share why they were putting them out. Just so you have an idea.
So the incentive policy, it looks like it's just cleaning up a little bit of verbiage.
Yes, and just making sure we're consistent with how we're actually, working through that policy.
Now so explain to me, who does not use more than 4 days of personal leave or the prorated portion? Is that if they take 5 half days?
No, so what that is if somebody, let's say somebody were to start at the,
Okay, in January.
in January.
Okay.
And let's say that they only are able to use 2 days,
Uh-huh.
that they are still eligible for the bonus if they use 2 or less days.
Okay.
And that also coincides with how the state does the policy for teachers.
Okay.
So it just mimics that. So I just wanted to make sure that, it's the same. So there were no questions.
Okay. And there's no changes to the employee personal leave bank and personal leave donation programs? See no red.
changes with that, however, we will be, making sure that we utilize that,
Follow it.
we follow it, yes.
Okay.
We followed that this year and we followed this policy. So it's not just picking and choosing which portion we want to follow when we want to follow it,
Mhm.
but we are actually following policy this year.
But we did think to put it out on review so that it's fresh in people's minds. This is what the policy says.
Mhm.
You know? And if you don't like it, let's change it.
The personal leave policy. This is, this one. There are only a couple of things. Actually, the state code, it's 5 personal leave days without cause now instead of 4. So that is in there. They fix it so it is, if an employee is out for more than 3 consecutive days or longer for an immediate family, a doctor's excuse, that just mimics the same thing that it says, for a sick day as well. So some of this was just consistency purposes. And then also for, so there now is the 10 personal leave days that an employee can have, and then they would roll over in sick days. So that just makes that consistent now. It was just making it consistent within the policy. And those are the only ones that, and the other one that will be coming, before you will be in travel policy, you do need to look at that. Just because when somebody does travel out, which I don't have it ready yet, but when somebody does travel out of county, it's $40 for overnight. And that's not a lot of money if somebody's trying to eat
Per diem.
at
Mhm.
least 2 days or 2 meals. I mean, most of the trainings we go to, you do get at least lunch. But even if you look at breakfast and dinner, $40 doesn't go far now. So, and I don't know if a per diem approach is the right way to go, because per diem is, even if you look at like GSA, it is still kind of high. But, I don't know.
Something between like, you use per diem GSA as a guide and scale back.
Yes, but even out of state's only $50.
Yeah.
So we just need to review that. That will be coming out.
Are we paying for these changes in policy, Rolls Royce yet?
No, we're doing these.
These were just me.
All the policies Rolls-Royce has updated, I mean, they've updated all of them. So now we can,
Maintain them.
Thank you.
now, new policies, we might have to run by Rolls-Royce.
Mhm. And speaking of policy updating, policy revisions, where we approved the schedule earlier, so that policy will need to come back for,
Yeah.
for revision.
So technically then, you don't need a motion on pay.
It comes later in the agenda.
These will go out for review.
Right.
I don't know if you had any questions about the others, there's technology and.
First off, while sitting here, I just realized you were not given the entire technology policy. You were not given page 3. You actually were given pages 1 and 2, and then the grading uniformity policy. Copy it again, but I'll make sure you get another copy. The only thing on the third one is it just changes a wording, and I'll get to it. But the technology, Mr. Yost and the Smiths and I sat down and looked at the technology policy. Basically, we more or less just updated it to bring it to our current situation. We have moved, are proposing to remove the agreement from the policy, because the agreement is just how we implement the policy, and if we leave it as part of it every time, if we have to update the agreement, then we have to update the policy. And that's not really that's not really a efficient way to move our time. So we removed that particular piece of it. And then we changed some, responsibility, like if the device has been intentionally damaged. So like if you just kind of made it clear, like if it is clear that you damaged this Chromebook, then you're going to be invoiced for it. On the second page, we added some AI provisions to the policy, basically just saying that if it's teacher approved or Summers County has adopted that, then that's an appropriate AI tool. And I think that really helps everybody, students and staff. And then under the disciplinary action, the full replacement cost, it was $300. This is one of those bringing it up. Basically, whatever we paid for in the most recent batch of Chromebooks is what the replacement cost is going to be. That way, we're able to make sure that, we're able to afford to replace that Chromebook.
That happened a lot?
It's happened more recently since for a long time, we had them under lease and there was an insurance, but we don't really have that anymore. And so, yes, that's happened not considerable amount, but it's happened more than it has in the past. And we've also tightened down on that. When you sign this agreement, you agree that we have given you this piece of technology, it is yours to use. But if you bring it back and it's not usable, then you're going to pay for it.
But should you do the same thing with where you go into the missing or damaged accessories, just not tag a price to it and just whatever
So
replacement value is?
We could, and, if you want, I can definitely take that back to them.
Because in that way,
As
we'll
the
have to
team.
update it too, if it, you know.
Yeah. So what we'll do is if you wanna, we'll just set this one to the side and I'll go back to the team next week and see if they wanna make a revision to that, and then we'll bring that back to you on the 11th.
Well, and so this policy is going to go out for public comment.
Yes.
So it could be edited and it'll be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be out for public comment. So you could still make that change and it could come to us the next meeting.
That works.
Good idea, Mr. President.
All right, let's see, drug testing and simulated workplace. You wanna go through that one? So that policy, basically, the CTE team, kind of met this year to look at that and kind of make it a little bit more stringent, and more impactful. So some of the biggest things, there had to be an orientation session held with students. And then if a student came in midway through the year, then a student and a parent and a student's parent had to come to that session, but not to begin, that didn't really make a lot of sense. So, the parent has to come to that orientation session, that no matter when they have it. They increased the minimum of students selected for random sampling would go to 20%. I believe that, it was 10 or 15 before. And then there was some discussion on which to use a urine sample or a saliva sample. And so they opted to use both. One first and third, one second and fourth. And
What are we using for those?
Ms. Hawkins has got and I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but it's a company out of Beckley that comes and administers it on site and takes care of it.
And is there a difference in the cost between saliva and urine?
I can't give you that answer just yet,
And
but I can.
are they done on site?
They are,
And then if it's positive, there's a confirmatory test sent off.
yes.
Okay,
We do. We use CTE funds for that.
okay.
And so then the last thing that kind of goes back to the appeals process. Basically, it just kind of clarifies the appeals process a little bit more and the consequences of, failed drug tests. If a student and a parent want to appeal it, they may do so, but it's going to be at their own cost. And policy 4373, which is our discipline policy, is also applied as well.
Going back to the actual drug testing, what's the plus minus or pro and con of the urine, saliva? What's the difference?
I don't have the range for you at the moment. I can get that for you. That's so really the biggest thing is just kind of strength, just kind of clean it up a little bit, adding maybe just a little bit more teeth to it. That's the biggest part of it. And then the last thing we have is the grading and uniformity policy. And this only applies to secondary, I believe. Elementary did add it this time. Okay. One, the policy said live grades. We haven't used, live grades are weird for but we haven't used that one for a couple of years. And so we just changed the wording to just say the district's adopted electronic grade book so that it's, always current. We added the word updated. So again, to make it a little bit more, clear, like you must do this, you must, like, it was clear before, but we decided to make it even more clear. And At the high school, we particularly have an issue with that. But then the biggest thing, one of the biggest things here is is report cards and transcripts. For a long time, well, I guess forever, this county has awarded grades on a report card or transcript for a B, 89, or 89, 85. And people think that the GPA is based on an 89 is more than an 82. So they're not.
Right.
It's a 3.0. You don't calculate it, like that. And so that's caused some confusion. Also, when a kid comes from another school system that doesn't issue numerical grades, then we just have to put something in there. If we just get a report card with a C, we got to put something in there. Now, practice has been if it's a C, it's going to be a 79, whatever the highest C is. But that may not be necessarily accurate. And so one of the changes in this policy is to report for grades 6 through 12 letter grades, A, B, C, D, and F on a report card. It doesn't change the weighting of the grade. Honestly, it just makes it more clear, and everybody kind of clear and straightforward, and everybody understands. Now, that doesn't mean if you log into Schoology, you'll see 89B. But what is on the official transcript and grade report in Weavis it would be an A, B, C, D, or F.
You'll still be able to see, like, as a parent,
Yes.
if you're on the bubble,
Right, like
where you're at in that 10-point scale, so that if you're
yes,
teetering towards
right.
dropping a grade.
Right, so like if you're a parent, you're looking in Schoology now, just like you looked in Weavis grade book or in live grades years before, you're still gonna see it. All right, look, dude.
Yeah.
You got a 59.8. If you screw up, you're gonna be failing.
Right.
So you still have that ability. It's just what is on the final transcript. And again, it helps people better understand, calculate GPAs. It also helps us when we get grades from other schools. We can just put the letter grade in there. And then finally, on page 4, last year, the board amended the policy. Under middle school retention, they amended the policy to say that you had to pass all 4 classes. You had to have a yearly average passing in all 4 classes. But there was also some conflicting language left in there, like that said, student must pass ELA and math to be promoted. But then the very next sentence, it says, in order to be promoted, a student must pass ELA, math, science, and social studies. So we had conflicting language in there this year. And so this clears that up. It keeps in you must pass all 4 courses to be promoted in middle school. It keeps the intention of the policy change last year. It just takes out that conflicting wording that was left in there.
All right, anything else on policies? All right, we'll jump to item L, financial update from summer conference.
So, one thing that the state has really been pushing is financial analysis for counties. So we have not closed out. We have not closed out fiscal year 26 yet. But this is just a financial analysis up through 25. And I've started working on 26. You'll have that information by the end of September to get all the financial statements to you all. But as you can see, this is just information that has been given to us with a 5-year 5-year, balances that we have. As you can see, this is something that they give us. We will have an update from Fall ASBO once they've pulled everything in from, financial statements. As you can see what our revenues are, what our unrestricted balance is. Then the information, if you flip over, what's really interesting is what they've done. As you've seen probably in the news, a lot of counties have not been reducing their, overhead. They are grossly overstaffed, yes, thank you. I was sitting with the treasurer yesterday and he said that they have like 250 staff over formula. So whenever we look at this, staff is not just 200. But whenever you look at staff that are 240 or 220 or anything like that, they're more than just a 1 FTE. So what, the our WVDE, finance office has done is they've compiled all this data to see what we actually are over based on the funding formula. So whenever you look at it for fiscal year 26, we were actually over by professional that were funded by the county board of 11.12. So as you can see, whenever you go across there, how many were actually over. So this is contract days, including those that were over 200. So it was everything that was extended. And then whenever you take into account the service, so for fiscal year 26, it was over by 17.41. So that does not necessarily mean that those are bodies in a seat, but those are over what we are getting state aid formula for. So like Harrison, yeah, I think Harrison County, they were just the most recent state takeover. WVDE came in, they were looking at a shortfall, like, and their unrestricted balance was like $27 million. But after their excess levy and all that kind of stuff, with their positions that were over, they were looking at like $14 million that they were gonna have to take into account. So these are the types of things that, like, I'm gonna be coming to you all and saying, and this is why I'm sharing this information from summer conference. So, you know, when we're looking at personnel this next spring, numbers matter, money matters. So that's why, the budget is on, I don't know if you all know, but the budget is on the website, from 26, that's up there. The, audit report from 25 is up there. Whenever the financial statements, those are done, that'll be up there. Whenever I bring in the, June and July, financial reports, one of the line items that we will have on the agenda going forward every month on a monthly basis will be just a financial update of what our expenses and our revenue, or I mean, our expenses and our revenues on a monthly basis, just so you all know where we stand on a monthly basis. But this is one of those big things. So whenever we look at fiscal year 26, based on what we had, we did have a, for 25, we had a $3 million carryover, unrestricted carryover. But then whenever you look at what our funding is, we were actually, based on that funding, we had $1.5 million based on what we needed for personnel, because we were over in, personnel. So the state is basically identifying that as a funding shortfall. So that would basically take $1.5 million of what our carryover is, which then rolls over into this fiscal year. So, whenever the state is looking at these counties, we are, you know, compiling all this with, enrollment that's declining, and then personnel. And I mean, we're doing all these things right to make sure that we are cutting personnel, we're cutting all these areas, but it's just something that we have to watch for and we have to be aware of, because while we're very healthy right now, it is coming. It could come at any time if we're not very careful with what we're doing.
Well, for that 17, based on, if our enrollment doesn't change from what Mr. Lester reported earlier, that 17 could be even more than 17.
Yes, and it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. And as we get into the next portion of the meeting, I mean, we're gonna see where we've already budgeted for what our, employees are, but we already have employees that are leaving. So we're gonna have substitutes in those positions, and we don't know if we're gonna even have them filled. But we can't drop, at this point, we can't do anything with personnel because we're not in personnel season. So, it's just, it's a cycle that we're in right now, but we have to do everything we can to try to get our kids back. That's why, like with the Hope, we're gonna build, we will build them. So we've got to get our policy ready to make sure that if they're gonna take a class with us, we're gonna bill them. If they don't stay, we're gonna bill them. So whatever we have to do, but I just wanted to make sure I shared this information with you all so that you are aware of that situation. And this does take into account like all the fixed costs that go along with this. And this does come from our certified list data. So it does kind of skew it a little bit because this is assuming that every position is filled with a full-time employee. But we know that we don't have full-time employees in every one of our positions. So this number is a little more drastic than what we probably are looking at because we don't have full-time employees in all those positions because we do have substitutes in some of them.
Did I understand you to say that the state just funds 200-day contract? I mean, so anybody over 200 days, they're not funded, and we all know, sitting here, all of you know, you can't do everything you have to do in 200 days.
Correct. Mhm.
There's no way.
Right,
You can't end school, you can't start school,
right.
and do all the stuff you have to do just.
Well, and also any supplements that are given. So, any of that is not funded with the state as well. So, and that's one thing too, that we really want to make sure going into this next school year too, making sure that we really are hitting all of our federal grant awards and we're making sure that all of our people are paid. We're utilizing everything federal first before we hit anything countywide. Just making sure that we use all that money first before we hit anything countywide.
Right.
We just, every dollar counts at this point.
Mhm.
So, and
Hopefully we can boost.
yes, and federal funds are dropping too, and it's all tied to enrollment and it's all tied to participation. So that's one thing I said to Dr. Knott yesterday. I was like, what's participation? Like, that's their word, is participation. And, you know, federal programs money is dropping, enrollment, everything's just dropping. It's just something we're facing, everybody is facing, and we just have to be very diligent and we just have to watch everything that we're doing right now.
Proactive.
Yes. We do.
I was just gonna say, because the next personnel season is based on October 1 enrollment, so hopefully this subject virtual program brings back some kids that we can count by October 1. Offset some of it.
And you mentioned, providing a report to the board from the financial standpoint of the county. I was trying to find one, but we had before you came, do you remember what county that was? We received a template from. I'll have to go back and look. I couldn't find one of the reports in the 5 minutes, but I'll look for one. They had a template that they would go out and pull the numbers from the financial side of the house. And then those numbers would go into this template, and it was a nice readable format for the board members.
Okay.
And it might save you a little bit of explaining what some of the things are to us,
Okay.
because it kind of, for lack of a different term, it dumbs it down a little bit for us.
Well, and with AI now, you
Mhm.
can take the dot matrix Weavis data
Right.
Yeah.
and populate it into an AI program
Mhm.
that can then transform it into a readable, updated, modern financial statement.
Yep.
It's easy to read and understand.
Well, and that's what we did at this last conference, was how AI can transform some of our reports and make it, and I will tell you, the state is trying to move to a new system. They're in a blackout period right now, so hopefully some of that, I mean, it could be 2 years before we even get all of that. I did ask that we be one of the pilot counties, but I don't know if we're gonna get that up, so.
Well, that report looked at how much money we had brought in,
Mhm.
how much we still expected to bring in, and how much had been spent. And it kind of broke everything down into those categories. Here's how much you have, here's how much you've spent, here's how much you still should be bringing in.
Which then also makes it good data to share with the schools too.
In the public.
And yeah.
So, yeah, and again, did you see those? Do you recall seeing those?
Mhm.
I'm talking about.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I can't tell.
Yeah.
You're looking this way.
No.
I'm going, yeah, I saw
But
it.
it's, and if we can find out the county that it came from,
Mhm.
actually, I may still have an email now that I'm thinking about it. I'll go back and look through my emails and see if
Okay.
I can find the one, and I might be able to forward it to you.
Okay, that'd be great.
So, okay.
Perfect.
While we're on financial update, is there any progress on us being able to take the credit cards?
So I was supposed to have a cash online training today, to be able to do all that, and they never contacted me with the link to join in. So we actually have the software. Natalie said she had worked in that in North Carolina, so I'm gonna get with her this week to see what we need to do with that. And,
I know some local schools have gone cashless and you can go to your football game and scan your card.
I prefer not to do cashless. I prefer to have the option if they want,
Oh, yeah, I'm good with that.
but I prefer not to be cashless.
I'm good with that.
Cause I just think that we wouldn't have too many people get mad. I, for one, give my children cash because I put them on a budget, because if not, they would, wear me out.
But options are good.
So I would prefer just to have an extra option.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but, I'm working on making sure that happens before football starts. Or all games start.
All right. We are at item M, discussion and review of current mission statement. So I asked for this to be put on here. And the main reason I wanted to look at our mission statement, determine are we meeting our mission? Is our mission still current? And this is also one of the things that we get asked on our board self-assessment. Are you familiar with the mission statement of your county? So with that, I'm going to read the mission statement. And this has already been printed on our, or it's been sent to the printer for our calendars, school calendars. So if we were going to edit our mission, it would be something we could consider and make sure we get that before the following school year calendars would happen to go out. Yeah. But our mission currently, it's on the website. Anyone can find it and read it. But Summers County Schools seek to create Summers County ready graduates that are ready to contribute positively to their community and secure employment upon graduating high school. Students have the opportunity to gain foundational skills in our 3 elementary schools. At our comprehensive high school, students can complete dual credit, advanced placement, and career and technical education courses on campus. We partner with local businesses and higher education institutions to prepare students to reach their life goals. When I reviewed this, I think we are meeting our mission. Everything we are doing leads to this. So if there's anything that you all think we need to review, change, edit, add, that's why we have this on our agenda.
There's an opportunity to include an element of virtual within, or some type of flexible education delivery.
In that sentence where it says. Go credit 18.
Yeah.
I've been honest the rest of the meeting. It's a terrible mission statement. It's terrible. It's not a mission statement. It's like half of a mission. It's like half of a mission and half of a menu of services.
Right.
It's not a mission statement. It needs to be, I agree, it does need to be revised. If the board chooses to go down that path, I think one of the best things is because I can tell you, I know Jumping Branch and I know the high school have done extensive work in the last 5 years. I'll let it, well, I know, in redoing their mission statement and their goals of their schools. I would propose that maybe we bring in the other all four schools and really kind of look at theirs and determine if some updates need to be happen to those and look for the common themes and then, add in the virtual pieces or whatever and rewrite this mission statement so that it is a mission statement and not what somebody woke up and thought was okay one day.
You're saying you're gonna take this on?
I'm saying if the board chooses to do this, then I will be glad to help formulate the mission statement if that's what Dr. Knott wants me to do.
Well, I think the first sentence is still very applicable. I mean, we obviously all want to make sure that our graduates are ready to contribute and to secure employment, or pursue secondary education. But again, I think we meet what's listed here, but I think that we can add to if we so choose or edit as needed. So I say that to say I would encourage you to take some time and let's think about the mission statement. Maybe go out and read. I'm sure the school websites have their mission statements as well. Let's just take a look.
Also, it's the mission statement.
And so we could look at their mission statements and then decide if we need to make changes to ours.
That's another thing, we need to make sure the mission statement.
No, you got one on the website and then there's another whole one on the bulletin board.
The one I read on the calendar is not that one.
Okay.
Well, then this is something we need to, we really need to work on this then.
Update
Bring that
our,
back to the next.
let's bring it back to the next one.
Principal meeting,
Mhm.
agenda item 2.
And when you bring that up at the meeting, ask them to check their websites as well and make sure their mission statements are included. Or if they're not, if they are included, make sure they are accurate, updated.
Yeah.
If they're not included, I think it would be good to have each school's mission statement on their website. Jumping Branch, I just pulled them up by random, not because I live in Jumping Branch. Their mission statement is there as well as their vision statement and their goals. Assuming these are the most current ones, yes. So, okay, so we'll bring this one back, but I would encourage everyone to review the mission statement and go out and check those for the schools as well. All right, we will now enter into the regular meeting portion of this meeting. Does anyone need to take a rest break? Let's go ahead. I'll make a motion that we take a 10-minute recess. It's 4:58.
I second.
Okay, motion by myself, seconded by Mrs. Farley, that we will take a 10-minute recess. The time is 4:58 PM.
All right.
I don't know.
What are you saying?
I don't think. Yeah, we can. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think.
All right, we'll call this meeting back to order. And we are at our presentation portion under our regular meeting. Do we have any?
No presentations.
Okay. And I just want to, something Ms. Crook mentioned earlier is just maintaining consistency across our policies. So one thing I would like to do for presentations moving forward, this was something we kind of touched on at the President's Conference. Let's make sure that we have a copy of the policy for presenting before the board. And then, moving forward, I will set a 5-minute timer on my computer. And we'll,
Comment.
as public comment, yes, I'm sorry. No presentations. So we're at public comments. Do we have any public comments? Okay, so for public comments, we'll make sure we have a copy of the policy there. And, I'm gonna make sure I have just a small, portion of the policy that I'll read out loud before we have anyone
It's
speak.
on the clipboard.
Okay.
So when they sign in, if they should sign in, it's available at the clipboard.
And then I'll start a timer on my computer before they start speaking at 5 minutes. For consistency's sake, we will stop the comments at that point. 3 members of the board the board can vote to allow them to keep speaking per the policy. But it takes 3 members of the board to do that. And that way we don't run into a situation. It's easy to let someone go past the 5 minutes when we don't have a lot of people that attend a meeting. But if we do have something that's a hot item and we stop somebody after 5 minutes, we may get into an issue of, will you let someone else go longer before? So I think that for our sake, we need to be very consistent with that. And that's on me. I should have stuck to that a little tighter all along, but moving forward, starting with this new school year, we will maintain that policy, that strict 5-minute rule, unless the board chooses to allow the person to continue speaking.
If 3 members do vote to let them move on longer, will we vote at the same time? How much longer?
We will determine
Okay.
the length of time
Okay.
they can speak. Yeah. And our policy indicates that, the delegations will not go past 30 minutes. So if it's 5 minutes, each person has 5 minutes, then it's a 6-minute or 6-person speaking. Being, if there's a delegation and 6 people come for the same topic, they have to pick a spokesperson. If it's a hot button issue and 10 people, or if we have 10 people show up to speak on 10 different issues, we could at that point the board could choose to lower that time frame down to 3 minutes per person as opposed to 5, to keep it within that 30-minute window. So,
We'll just hope that never happens.
yeah, but, that's something that I know I need to work on them. So from here moving forward, we're going to keep our public comments at 5 minutes unless the board votes otherwise. Item 6, approval of minutes. We have before us the June 30th, 2026 regular meeting minutes and the July 6th, 2026 statutory meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the June 30th, 2026 regular meeting and the July 6th, 2026 statutory meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the June 30th, 2026 regular meeting minutes and the July 6th, 2026 statutory meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the June 30th, 2026 regular meeting minutes and the July 6th, 2026 regular meeting minutes or statutory meeting minutes have been approved. Item 7, approval of bills. Looking through those, I didn't see anything that I had any questions about, and it didn't look like there were any conflicts. So.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bills.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the bills. Is there any discussion?
I just curious what fire safety products is for $750.
the second time. I think it's bus cleaning supplies. but hold on. Fire extinguisher inspections.
All right, thanks.
The subject technology, is that the subject AI? And we're paying by seat or we're paying single amount?
We pay by seat.
Okay. All right, so again, motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by 5-0 vote. The bills have been approved for payment. Item 8, approve transfers and supplements. We have none.
I don't think so.
You want me to wait till she comes back and make sure?
I think it would be in your folder.
I think so too, and I was looking, I didn't see any, so,
I think it's like a standing agenda.
okay. Item 9, old business, discussion of possible action regarding the Hinton area elementary parking lot.
I wanted to tell you that's on there because that lot that we went to look at, that we were told we could not, because they were gonna build houses there, now the city sent us an email, said it is available
Okay,
for us to, that we can fill out an application for it if, I think we kind of had decided to do that, so we can go ahead and do
I
that.
need to donate it.
yeah.
It's just back on there again. I mean, it's back available.
Do you need a motion from us to go ahead and fill out the application?
Do we need to determine them?
Amount.
And if we do, we would need to go into executive session.
Yeah.
So, that would come under West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 9. Property. So I'll make a motion under West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 9, regarding a purchase, sale, or lease of property, that we go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, according to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 9, for purchase or sale of purchase of property, that we go into executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, according to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 9, that we will go into executive session. The time is 5:17 PM. We are back from executive session for item, where's it at here? 9A, and this is discussion or possible action regarding HAE parking lot. And we've given Dr. Knott 3 options, and she'll proceed with those and report back to us if any of those options are taken in consideration. All right, item 10, new business, approved purchases over 25,000. We have Jumping Branch Playground equipment for $31,941. This is partially funded by a grant and the remainder funded by the Jumping Branch PTO.
I'll make a motion, we approve the purchase.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey to approve the purchase for Jumping Branch Elementary playground equipment. Is there any discussion?
I would just like to publicly acknowledge and congratulate the Jumping Branch PTO, and I think in particular, was it Debbie Bowling that helped to procure this funding?
And I would also like to add on to that and thank our legislative representatives for taking that request and moving forward and being able to secure that as well. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the purchase over 25,000 for Jumping Branch Elementary playground equipment has been approved. Item B, so we talked earlier about policies. Item B is to place the policies out for public comment. This is,
General policy is not one of those yet.
okay, so we're going to mark off, strike 8G, Roman numeral 8G3, travel policy and procedure. That leaves us with 6 policies that will be placed out for public comment.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 6 policies recommended to be placed out for public comment.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley, to place the 6 policies out for public comment. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the 6 policies will be placed out for public comment. Okay, item C, possible discussion or possible action to approve Marshall University MOU for student placement. In here.
We have a student.
I've probably moved it around. I've moved stuff all over the place.
We have a student that's ready to go, or is this just for the program?
It's just so that. This is what it looks like, right?
Thank you.
We're so very that.
I think we have a student in.
I don't find that.
I'll make a motion that we.
Hold on.
Very
Oh,
last.
go ahead, make your motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the memorandum of understanding with Marshall.
Okay, there's a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the memorandum of understanding with Marshall. Is there any discussion? This is the same, we've had this in place in the past with Marshall.
He dated it, in September. Is that the? I feel like that, yeah, that needs to be
We can do
changed.
it, yeah,
Yeah.
we can do it.
He dated it from September of last year,
It
so.
appears you were just sending the one from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks similar to, if not the duplicate of what we had before. This remains in effect for 3 years.
Oh, 3 years?
Says this MOU will remain in effect for 3 years with an option for renewal upon mutual agreement. Either party may terminate the agreement with 60 days written notice, if termination does not disrupt the completion of clinical experience for currently placed pre-service teachers.
Perhaps we're updating it. I mean,
Could be that we're renewing this. Could be an annual renewal, yes. Can you find that out if it's just, I think it is, because I recall seeing one for Marshall before, so it's probably just the annual renewal. But I will go ahead and make a motion. Oh, wait, we have a motion. Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mrs. Farley.
Not Jay.
Jay. Thank you. Brad. Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the MOU of understanding with Marshall University for student placement. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, the Marshall University MOU for student placement has been approved. Item D, discussion regarding student discipline, suspension, and resuming extracurricular activity. Again, this is one that I asked to be put on the agenda, and I want to make sure that we are consistent across the board with our discipline and our extracurricular activity. What has happened in the past is that if a student received in-school suspension, they were allowed to resume extracurricular activities when school let out at that particular day. We talked about out of school. If they're out of school suspension, they can't resume extracurricular activities. My feelings are that we need to establish a practice, whether it be allowing them to resume at school lets out at 3:08, whatever time it lets out, or whether we have them wait until the next school day when they're allowed back in school as a regular student, not in school suspension. My feelings are, if we allow a student to participate in an extracurricular activity at the end of a school day that they've just spent in school suspension, we're almost rewarding that behavior. So I would like to, and it's not in a policy, we don't have a policy, it's just in the handbook. I would like to make sure that again, this is a board decision, it's not me. But my stance on it would be that if a student is in school suspension, out of school suspension, that they not resume extracurricular activities until the following school day when their suspension ends, whether it's in school or out of school. Now, to update the handbook, I don't know if that's something you need the board to vote on. If anyone else would like to make a comment, feel free to. But I just want to make sure that we are expecting the highest level of behavior from our students participating in extracurricular activities.
That's a daily school operations thing, and that absolutely can be done.
Okay.
What does the handbook read right now?
Unless Ms. Hawkins just changed it, it says to the duration of the suspension.
so the understanding was they've completed their
The school day's over, so.
discipline.
Now, if you read in West Virginia policy, out of school suspension, it specifically states. So I feel like in school suspension is kind of a county level because state policy doesn't dictate. But I just think that I think we should expect our student athletes and our students participating in extracurricular activity to realize that it's a privilege and not a right. Single opinion of one board member.
I agree, and I will tell you, I'm the one that instituted it, that if you have multiple in-school suspensions, or you get a whole day at lunchtime and you have to do half a day at lunch and half a day at the next, like, you're still out of it. And that was the first time we had done that at that school historically, because athletics was just held to such a unrealistic.
Privilege.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think
They
we
created a
just need to
privileged
be
class.
specified that the day of
Yeah.
penalty or whatever goes until 11:59, the day of.
Mr. Durgan wants to say something. Do you want to-
I agree with what you're talking about. My own question is, which has been the age-old question, is that athletes who spend the most time after school trying to represent the school and stuff, when they're punished, it's more because kids who are in school disruptive all the time, they get kicked out, they can still attend ball games, they can still attend everything. To me, if you're gonna do that, I think you should extend it that if you, in school suspension, you can't attend games. And I think that makes it a more even playing field instead of just singling out athletes who spend a lot of time out. Most of them still do their homework, get everything. The kids, a lot of them who are disruptive, don't do the work, still get the privilege of attending everything that they get to do. That I think might be
With all due respect, that's not realistic, sir.
No, I understand that,
That's not a realistic
but you're
expectation.
singling out one group.
But you're also an athlete and you're representing that school. I'm telling you right now, if I'm the principal and you screwed up at the day, you're not wearing that jersey that's representing my school that evening.
I understand. I've been a principal also, and I understand what you're saying. But as a coach also, you know, there's more weight going on when they used to say, or you say, we're only gonna drug test athletes. But all the kids that are in school, the other kids in school doing drugs, don't get tested, and they still get to participate in everything, attend to everything. That's the only, I'm only throwing that out there, and that would be the counter argument to what you're saying. I'm not saying I disagree with what you're talking about.
Just another point to
Just another
consider.
point to consider. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying,
Right.
you know, that aspect of it.
Okay. Thank you for that. We'll take that into consideration. All right. So, let's see, which one are we on? So we're at personnel, item 11. Resignation and retirements. We have 3, 4, 5 of those. We have transfer professional personnel. We have 1. Oh,
We have to, can we do these separately?
we can do these separately.
Each section?
Yes, we can. Okay, so let's start with personnel. Retirement, resignations and retirements, personnel resignation,
Sorry, I thought it was
retirements.
Noted in there somewhere.
Didn't see it, no.
It was in it.
Okay, so we have, five here.
I would like to make a motion. Based on motion code 6-98-4, your paragraph 2 for personnel to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan. According to West Virginia Code 6-98-4, paragraph 2, personnel, that we go into executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote. We will go into executive session. Time is 5:41 PM. All right, executive session ended at 5:45 PM. So we have before us personnel recommendations for resignation and retirements.
I make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendations in regard to resignations and retirements.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for resignation and retirements. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the superintendent's recommendation for resignation and retirements has been approved. Next item under personnel is transfers for professional personnel.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent's recommendation in regard to transfers professional personnel.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for transfers of professional personnel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the superintendent's recommendation for transfers professional personnel has been approved. Transfers for service personnel.
I make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation in regard to transfers of service personnel.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. Brogan. We accept the superintendent's recommendation, transfers for service personnel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote. The superintendent's recommendation has been approved for transfers service personnel.
Can the next two go together?
Yeah, there's no.
Yes.
Can the rest of them go together?
Hold on one second. Yes, you can take them all.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion under West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 2, personnel, that we go into executive session. So motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, according to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 2, personnel, that we go into executive session at this time. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote. We will go into executive session. The time is 5:48 PM. Executive session ended at 5:53 PM. So we now have before us employment professional personnel, employment service personnel, employment extra duty, extracurricular volunteer personnel, substitute professional personnel, substitute service. There are none for substitute service. And then we have two volunteers, which have passed their background checks and documentation all in place.
I'll make a motion, we accept the superintendent's recommendations for the remaining positions.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Farley to accept the superintendent's recommendations for the remaining positions. All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the superintendent's recommendation has been approved for the remaining personnel items. Item 12, superintendent's report. Okay. This is just informational. Just wanted to go over a few things that we did talk about at the President's Conference. Let me find my message here real quick. I just want to pass on a few items that they brought up. Where is that at? I had it up just a minute ago and I guess I've lost it. Damn. Find it in just a minute. I think it's in this message. That's not it. Yeah, let me. I had that message open. Where did it go? Technology makes our lives better, right? Some days. Oh, here we go. Just a few things that we went over. I talked to Howard Sufer and Trey Marone while we were there. And there was one of the trainings they talked about executive session quite extensively. And I know that at one training that a board member went to, and I don't remember which board member it is, and I don't need to know, because it doesn't matter. It might have been me for all I know. We brought the impression back that we needed to vote on student discipline in executive session. And I think where that came from, there is an opinion, and I think that's the way Howard and Trey both related. It was an opinion that it be done in executive session. However, according to the Open Meetings Act, if we were ever pushed on it or there was pushback on action that we took in executive session, that it could be overturned. So the recommendation from Mr. Sufer and Mr. Marone both were that when we do our student discipline, we go into executive session, we have our discussion. When we come back out, Dr. Knott makes a recommendation, not mentioning the student's name, but just a generic identifier. And then we take action out in public, the public setting. Another thing that was mentioned is whenever in our minutes, we don't have to have names listed on how we voted unless it's a roll call vote, but Dr. Knott and myself talked, and I think just for transparency's sake, it's a good practice that we have put our names in with how we voted in the past, and we keep doing that. Um, and then just a few little things, nothing major that we probably all haven't heard before. Just some clarification on a couple of those. So, um, it was a good conference, but, um, it was good in the information they presented. They also have the schedule out for the upcoming school board association meetings, so you all will be getting that here in the very near future. There'll be the fall conference and the winter conference as well. So look for those. Just a reminder, we do have to have 12 hours this year instead of the previous 7. So make sure you take that into consideration as you're planning which conferences to go to, that you get all of your hours as required. So that's free. I won't charge anybody for that information. With that, let's talk about our next agenda. The next regular meeting will be held on August 11th, 2026, and that begins at 4 p.m. at the central office. Any agenda items that we need to add to that?
I would like to invite, Ms. Bowling and the local legislators for a pause for applause.
Okay.
And then, the retention numbers on the K through 3rd grade.
I would like to talk about our SRO. If we can invite the sheriff's department if they would like to come and just kind of fill us in on where they're at with um, the grant request.
Well, I've been to 2 meetings.
Okay.
Lisa Eads is really the one doing.
Okay,
Right.
we can invite her if we'd like. And then the other thing that we could add to that discussion is if we are not able to secure a grant through the sheriff's department, is back to the suggestion that Ms. Harvey had some time back, where we potentially offer an office in the schools for someone from the sheriff's department to utilize if they happen to be in the area, just to have some presence on our properties. If we are not able to secure a grant for an SRO, I think just having some presence is better than none. So if we could maybe revisit that if we don't get grant money. Any other items?
We'll have those 2 policies, travel policy and board meeting call.
Okay.
The mission statements. Statements.
All right. We've already got a pretty good agenda for the next meeting. All right, anything else? If not, Mr. McBride?
Make a motion, we adjourn, the time is 6:02.
I'll second. Motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mr. Brogan. That we adjourn this meeting. Time is 6:02 p.m. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote. This meeting is now adjourned.